Snow. A lot of you are still probably crawling out of bed saying, dear God, what's all this white stuff surrounding me? Yeah, we got a lot of snow overnight and throughout the morning. We call it Friday Snow Day, and you're going to see why in just a second. Right now, you're looking at a live video of the city of Fairfax where, yes, it appears the snow is still falling, and it appears many of you are adhering to what a lot of our local officials said, and that is to stay home. Don't drive on the roads. And well, we appreciate you living up to what they asked to do. Of course, there's another look right now at the D.C. as many of you come into D.C. and well out as well as we're looking at a live picture of the wharf. And it looks like there's more snow falling there than, well, the city of Fairfax that we just took a look at earlier. Guys, just to do a recap of what's happened so far, this started probably just before the 3 a.m. hour. Snow began to fall, and at one point, a lot of folks were saying, well, how fast is it falling? We now know it was falling about an inch an hour by 6 a.m. Not one, not two, but count them, 3 inches of snow on the ground. It then subsided, and then, well, it has resumed. And the good news is at some point, it will subside completely. A couple of things also want to make mention of that while it was snowing. I know at one point we had a ground stop at Reagan National Airport. Not sure as to whether or not that has been lifted, but we're going to find that out in just a minute as well. A couple of things we're going to do over the next count 'em. Not 1, not 2, but 3 hours. Yes, 3 hours that you're going to get a chance to see live coverage of what's happening in our area. Is we're going to talk with, of course, Tucker. We're going to get an update with weather with Caitlin. We're going to go to our reporters that happen to be in the field where you live so we can get you up to the minute information as to what's going on. Also want to let you know that a lot of folks have actually been tweeting and saying, hey, we know that it's still snowing now and we know at some point it will go away. Hey, I need to let you know that it's going to get very cold tonight. Shall I say bone-chilling cold? And after you fast forward to that, well, then you got up the road in Baltimore, some little birdie whispered about a Ravens game with the Texans. Yeah, we now know the temperature at game time going to be about 24 degrees. I know we're looking ahead, but I want to make sure that you keep that in mind if you happen to be traveling up the road. We got a plethora of interviews today on the show, and matter of fact, we're going to get to our first one before we bring in Tucker to get the latest on the weather. A lot of folks questioning and wondering, how are the roads shaping up? And so, well, why don't we find out from an official firsthand? I want to go live now to D. Dot, and thank you so much for coming on the show with Fox 5 Live. I got to say, I actually took the Metro on the way in today, and I didn't get a chance to actually drive, but I saw some folks driving, and for the most part, it seemed to be, and I'm not going to say easy breezy, but they were getting by. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, our teams have been busy at work starting at 8 p.m. last night. The District Department of Transportation and Department of Public Works pre-treated all the roads, and then as the snow began to fall, we've been plowing. We've really gotten through all of our primary and secondary roads. That's been our focus. And once the snow stops, we're going to then focus on the residential roads.
Yeah, Sharon, it's no secret. You know, I've been following you all for quite some time. And what's really interesting is that it's not as if you all just started preparing for this. I mean, this has been in the works for quite some time, which probably speaks volumes as to how you've been able to handle this.
That's correct. Our teams, we start tracking these storms 3-4 days before they come. And again, pre-treating the roads is key so that when the early snow hits, it doesn't ice over. And we have a really good system going, and we're going to continue to work really until after the snow stops falling. We hope that'll be early this afternoon. And then, as I said, we focus on residential roads, we focus on bike lanes, and we start asking folks to then focus on shoveling the sidewalks. This is where we need help from others.
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you touched on that. You heard me make mention earlier that I actually walked to the Metro today. I didn't drive in. And that happened to be the slippery spot for me. I mean, it was actually navigating, getting to the Metro alone. Can you reiterate the importance once again of making sure that folks get out there and start to shovel that snow so we don't have a lot of folks slipping and sliding?
Absolutely, yes. We do rely on our residents to shovel in front of their homes. If for any reason you're unable to do it, please call 311. We do have Serve DC folks who can help assist, and also be a good neighbor. If you know you have a neighbor who's not able to shovel, please help them out. And if you do want to volunteer to shovel more formally, snow.dc.gov, we have an opportunity for people to sign up to be a volunteer shoveler.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that's so important that folks get out there and actually shovel. I'm curious. I mean, obviously, we're talking about D.C. and we have surrounding Maryland and Virginia as well. But with that, just focusing on D.C., what's the difference with regard to clearing the roads that I would suspect is somewhat different in Maryland and or let's say Virginia?
So I can't answer exactly. I would say we have a lot of bike infrastructure. We have a lot of pedestrian bridges. So we have to make sure that we're covering all of those areas and all those modes because we have people that need them. I assume that that's probably similar throughout, but we just want to make sure people can get out as soon as possible and are really vigilant about keeping our roads as clear as quickly as we can.
Yeah, there are a lot of folks that have actually moved into Washington, D.C. over the past couple of years. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first significant snowfall we've actually had in not 1 but 2 years. And so a lot of folks, it might be new to them. It's not new to you. And so folks that happen to be, that just moved here for the first time, any message to them about how they should navigate in our streets?
Just drive slowly, drive carefully. We're going to continue to have slush. We're going to continue to have some icy spots. So always just use caution. When you see a truck, whether it's plowing or salting, give it a wide space and just be careful out there.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you all are really on it. I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Any other message you
Thank
want the
you.
folks to know, or are we good to go, as they like to say?
No, stay warm. And yeah, DC Gov, I'm really proud. We've done a great job. So thanks for all the time.
Yeah, Sharon, we truly appreciate you. Thank you for the good job that you're doing. We'll call on you again in continued success for what you all are doing right here in the nation's capital. Thanks, Sharon.
Thank you.
All right, guys. One of the many officials that we're going to get a chance to chit-chat with throughout the day right here on Fox 5 Live. The question is, how is power shaping up? We're going to check in with Pepco momentarily. Folks that are watching, you can do so, or tell a friend and bring a friend. Of course, we're on the Fox 5 app. And then, hey, did you hear about this new app we have as well? Yes, it's called the Fox Local app. You can download it on your smart TV, and so we encourage you to do so. Just to recap some of the things that Sharon actually happened to say, and of course she is representing the interim director at DDOT. Guys, it is so important that we continue to get out there and clear the sidewalks. I mean, if we haven't already done so, please make sure you do so. I can tell you personally, I have a neighbor who happens to be elderly, so that comes to mind, and perhaps it comes to mind for you as well. You too should actually go above and beyond and help out that person if you haven't already done so. With regard to the roads, so key, and I'm so glad that she touched on this. You know, you got to watch out for those trucks that happen to be clearing the roadways throughout the afternoon. You got to keep a certain distance behind them in order to make sure that you go about to do so. Amy, I believe we got some video right there of we see folks driving. That's one of our reporters heading out to the next scene to give us a live report. And as you can see, the roads, for the most part, pretty much look like they have been treated. We do know, and of course we got a report earlier today that the roads were treated. They did not treat them overnight, again, because as many of us know, we got snow earlier this week, and so they were just relying on the salt that had already been applied earlier this week. That's a live look at the wharf, and as you can still see, dear God, it's snowing. Yes, the question is, how long will that snow continue? We're going to get a live report from Tucker. Tucker, come on down when you get a minute. That's the cool thing about doing this. You get a chance to yell out loud and have everybody come on down and having a great time. So we're going to continue to follow this. A couple of other things I want to make sure that we touch on. You heard me make mention of the information with regard to Reagan National Airport, the ground stop. Guys, this was a major issue that we wanted to keep an eye on to make sure that, you know, all the folks that are arriving right here in D.C. could do so. There he is. Tucker, come on over. Don't be shy. So we're going to get the latest report now from Tucker to find out what is to be expected, how we can go about to deal and navigate with what we have going on today. Oh, also, I want to remind you, if you haven't already done so, this is the cool thing about this, guys. We get a chance to get interactive with each and every one of you. So take out your cell phones, your smartphones. Take a picture of what you're looking out outside of your homes. And then, of course, then you can go about to hop on social media, use the hashtag Fox5SnowDay. It's kind of a mouthful, but it works. Fox 5 Snow Day, and you're going to get a chance to find out and or see your tweets and what have you right here on Fox 5 Live. All right, as promised, the man with the master plan, the man of the hour. And look,
Oh,
this
really?
this guy makes a massive entrance when he walks right in. Here you go. Just put that right on your blazer right there, sir.
Hi, guy.
Hi, dude.
Hey,
When I
what's
grow up, can I be
happening?
just like you? Take a
You
seat
are
right
grown
there.
Up, so you must be like me. What?
I love
think
this.
You're a kid. I've known you a long time.
Yeah.
Guy.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe one day I could. Yeah, feel like it.
What camera are we talking to?
We're talking to this one right here. Isn't this
Oh,
cool?
hi.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome
you
to
got
Fox
nice
5
setup here.
Live. I like
Yeah,
this
nice
because it's
threads there too, man.
Thanks, dude. It's not as informal or
Where you go
formal, I
shopping?
should say. And well, where you
Maybe
don't.
I can unbutton my shirt a little bit.
Yeah, unbutton it. Relax.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
you're still kind of working, so you can't relax that much.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm winding down here. All right, so let's talk weather, right? Is that what
Please.
you want me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, first of all, I don't mean to cut you off, but I touched on it, and I'm no meteorologist, but you are. And so let's begin at the beginning. I mean, 3 a.m., a lot of folks waking up, and that's when it started, or right around that time.
Yep.
And then I watched you earlier. You said about an inch an hour.
Yeah, it came in fast and furious, man. You know, like Fast and Furious, those 12 movies that Kevin McCarthy watches. It was rolling in. Inch an hour. We had 2.7 inches of snow at Dulles by 6:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And I think it's not that the storm caught us by surprise. Mostly the forecast going forward is a good one. But we were certainly surprised with the intensity at the onset. And now it's kind of hanging in there, too. So on the back side of it, we're getting some pretty good snow totals, nice boom scenarios in parts of the area as it all works through. I don't know what we're looking at, but maybe can we bring up my radar and we can show you.
Yeah, let's
what's
get it.
happening
Let me just
across
bring it
the
up
area.
for you. There we go.
Yeah, that's snowfall estimates. That's not quite the map I wanted to show you. Well, actually, that'll do a nice job. We can talk a little bit about it, but that does a nice job showing you how much snow we've had for parts of the area. And, pretty much on track here. Southern Maryland, about an inch. Let me start with this. It's been cold enough that every flake has been sticking.
Wow.
At least trying to stick to the roads. I know a lot of the roads have been treated. The crews have been doing a great job, but 3 to 6 inches there in dark blue, and that includes Montgomery County, Loudoun County. So what happened early this morning, Weather Service, realizing we had a boom potential, upgraded that part of the world to a winter storm warning, which just means that's sort of, our graduated, after a winter storm warning, you can only get to a blizzard warning. We're not getting there today. So that's a graduated storm warning, and the snow is definitely being realized there, as I think that the totals in parts of Montgomery County and southern Frederick County, maybe Howard County, will approach 5 to 6 inches by the end of the day. But snow's really been coming down. We've had some nice banding features. We had a little lull there, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. What I love most about this day, other than all the awesome pictures from all of our viewers
Yeah.
and everybody out, is all the great snow day, is that it's an all snow event for us. Sometimes around here we get junk. It starts as snow and then changes to rain and it sleets on it and you get the freezing rain and that whole mess. Not when it's pure Arctic air. And with pure Arctic air across the region, I look like an old man with these glasses.
Oh, you look fine, dude.
No, I look old. With this Arctic air in place, it really has been a spectacular snowstorm. I realize there's a lot of people trying to work and do school, but for snow lovers, it's been a really good snow.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me is that I've grown up here, and you've been here all this time as well, and that is a lot of times it'll snow. It'll be the light, fluffy stuff. This is the wet, heavy stuff, correct?
Well, so it's so dry. It's actually I haven't really been outside yet today because I've been inside working since 4 a.m. But Barnard was mentioned earlier. He couldn't really pack it. It's actually pretty dry snow.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Earlier, a few days ago, we had wet snow. I don't know. It kind of rained on top of that storm from Monday, Tuesday. So this one's a little bit fluffier. It's a little hard to sled in. You got to pack it down a little bit. But send me your best hills. I mean, right? You know, go out.
I'm all for that. By the way, you can sled on Capitol Hill. We had Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton on several days ago, and she wanted to remind everybody, yes, you can go do that. Not necessarily sure.
Did she do it?
Probably not.
You seen that commercial for Amazon where all the older women are out sledding the hill? I don't see any reason why she can't sled. She should get out there. And
Congresswoman, if you do it, send us the video so we can air it right here on Fox 5. That's a live. Well, that's a previous take of the snowball fight over at the U.S. Capitol right there on the National Mall. How cool is that? By the way, I haven't gotten a chance to do that yet. I want to get out there and do that as well. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So here's the deal with that. If you got a guy with a camera following you around when you're out there, they all target you. So that's not cool. So if you go down there, you want to be kind of incognito.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Just kind of wear a hat, don't let anybody know it's you. Because you show up with a camera, you're the target.
So it's no secret. It's been not 1, but I believe 2 years since the last time we had some significant snow right here in this area. Is this old man winter paying us back?
Yeah, well, nature's even Steven. It really is. It likes to, everybody thinks of nature as, well, the normal's this and the normal's that. But actually, nature loves to do extremes. So sometimes takes it away from us, and sometimes when it gives a lot. So The thinking early in the year was that we were going to have a pretty good snow year. Didn't start out that way in December, but yeah, Mother Nature, old man winter showed up here big time last couple weeks. We're going to turn, so let's talk weather going forward here. The snow will taper off this afternoon. It should quiet down, but then we're going to go into the deep Arctic plunge again tonight and tomorrow. If you got plans this weekend, we don't get above freezing. So all the snow that's falling out there is going to hang in there for the weekend, and it'll be very slippery. The roads, I know the crews are doing a great job, but they'll refreeze. So just be real cautious tonight. Even if it's not snowing, it's going to be slippery. Tomorrow, it's going to be a very blustery day. We'll have wind chills near 0 much of the day. I'm looking forward to the football this weekend. Ravens game kickoff, maybe 23 degrees.
Wow.
Wind chill near 0. So that's the next story going forward here. Really cold weekend. And then, if you don't love snow, we'll be in the 50s to near 60 by next week.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, yeah, there's hope for people who don't love snow.
Yeah, a guy like me that can't wait till it warms up a bit. It's funny because right now we're in, I guess, the middle of January. We have February, but perhaps you would know this. What I would argue that the bulk of the snow that we normally get during in this area happens to be in March. Is that correct?
Sometimes we get our best events kind of end of February, early March. What happens is you get the clash of the seasons. So you got winter hanging in there, and you get the cold, and then you get some of that springtime energy coming up from the south. And that's traditionally our biggest storms are sort of last 2 weeks of February, first 2 weeks of March. That's when we get our biggest storms. So, I mean, it's a little far out for me to be predicting snow events, but, seeing as we've already had a couple snow events, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have something in that window.
Yeah, I'm gonna have Emmy, which by the way, our producer here at Fox 5 Live, but bring up the camera view again of the city of Fairfax. I want Tucker to take a look at that. You're going to see in just a second here. You see right there. Now it's actually snowing, but it doesn't appear to be as much snow as when we bring up the wharf, and we'll take a view of that right here. That you see that it's somewhat of a difference. And so does that?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's different snow rates in different parts of the area. If you're down in southern Maryland, some of our viewers have been like, I got like a coating of snow. So this is typical of a snow event as it takes shape. We had a really, really impressive band, about an inch-an-hour band, you mentioned that earlier, coming through Fairfax not too long ago. Now it looks like it's a little further to the south and east. But the sort of heaviest snow will be over in the next hour or two.
Wow, that's good news. That means you can finally go home, relax, take a breather.
No, like I'm finally going home right now. Yeah, we're wrapping this thing. So, I like your digs here. Now let me just make a couple comments.
Okay, please do.
We need like comfy chairs. Like you need like a leather chair or something. Like I don't know about this. Like we're awkwardly sitting next to each other. Like.
These guys worked hard on the chairs, so I will give them credit for that.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a little bit smaller. Maybe it works for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But.
Well, no, I mean, I like that. We need to spread it a little bit, though. I'm not complaining about the chair itself. Come on, man. Just saying, like, I don't need to get all up next to you like that. Like,
yeah.
Just give it a couple inches.
But it looks good. You know why they did this? Because I'm so much shorter than you, so I could be, height-wise. You see that,
guys? When you're talking about the men here at Fox 5, you and I are not topping the charts. Let's both be clear about that, all right?
One more time before I let you go, just a quick recap with regard to what we can expect over the next hour or two.
Okay, so so 3 inches in D.C. approximately, maybe 5 or 6 as you get up into Montgomery County and Loudoun County. If you're in southern Maryland and central Virginia, it's been more like an inch. Going forward here, we'll add a little bit of accumulations to that. That's a snowfall forecast going forward, and you can see not a whole lot more expected, maybe 1/3 of an inch, in a couple of spots, 1/2 inch. And it'll all wind down, and then we'll start to do the cleanup. And I just want to mention again, it's going to be cold. So sometimes Mother Nature helps us out. The sun comes out and it's 50 degrees. Not today. It'll go into the polar plunge, and it'll be really icy out there. So, we can't recreate it right here, but you want to walk like a penguin. Short little steps, focus, bring that weight down. You're going to bring that weight down a little bit like this, like as you're moving along. Can we do that on the show? I don't know if we can.
Yeah, we can do that. This is pure relax. That's what we do here. We just have a good time and, talk about weather today.
Can we bet on weather on Fox Local?
Probably legal issues. I don't think we could do that. Might hear from corporate, so probably not the best thing to do.
I feel confident. Like I feel like I could bet on weather.
Okay, so what are you taking?
Over under on 26 tomorrow for daytime high. I would go with the snow under.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going over.
Okay.
Because
some sun,
right?
Market for this, right?
Yeah. Well, we want to know what
Yeah.
you guys think as well. Hashtag Fox5 Snow Day. Give us your over, your under. Take a picture while you're doing so, and we're going to put it up on the tag board. Tucker, always a pleasure to see you, sir. Thank you so much for
Thank
hanging
you for
out.
inviting me
You don't
on
got to
your
go.
show,
I
man.
mean, you're welcome to stick around if you like.
Yeah, well, that's an honor, but I got happy hour. Mine starts at 1 o'clock, so I'm out. If you see me in the bar and you recognize me, don't say hi, because I just want a little time to myself.
And I'm sure you deserve
Okay.
it. Once
Thank
again,
you, guy.
Tucker Barnes. Thank you, dude.
Yep, take care.
All right. Once again, guys, we're going to get say bye. Oh, by the way, this is one of our new cameras. You like it? I do. Guys, you're watching Fox 5 Live. Of course, many of you are watching us on the Fox 5 app, and don't forget about the Fox Local app that you can download on your TV. Now, we've been talking about what we have been doing with regard to staying warm. I got a chance recently to chit-chat with someone about the importance of keeping your pets warm as well. Now, if you happen to have to go out and you have to, well, you know, take them for a walk, well, it's probably a good thing to go about to do that. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Before we do so, a lot of folks are asking, hey, how is power shaping up? And I want to go now live to Pepco and Chuck McDade, to find out exactly what we have going on. Chuck, thanks so much for joining us on Fox 5 Live. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day, sir.
Absolutely, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's jump right into it. You know, a little birdie whispered in my ear that quite honestly, with regard to power outages, that hasn't been an issue.
No, fortunately, the local energy grid is holding up well to this storm. As Tucker alluded to, the snow is light and fluffy. Normally, when we have that heavy, wet snow and ice, that tends to bring down trees, which then brings down the lines. But we've been preparing year-round for severe weather, installing tree-resistant cables, so if those trees start drooping and hit the lines, they're more resistant and they won't snap off the pole and cause an outage. So we've been working year-round to keep that reliable service going to our customers.
Yeah, that's great news to hear. You know, I remember in storms in the past where that necessarily wasn't the case. You talked about what you all have been doing to prepare for this time. Can you be more specific? I mean, obviously, we haven't had a snowstorm in some 2 years, and well, all of a sudden, old man winter comes with a vengeance.
Oh, no, absolutely. And it's snow, ice, thunderstorms in the summertime. We are ready. So, like I said, those tree-resistant cables, we reattach them to the pole. They can handle the trees when they hit them, branches, so they don't snap. We have a lot of reliability projects happening across the district and in Maryland. For example, there's DC Plug that's ongoing in the district. We're taking a lot of that critical infrastructure and moving it underground to protect it from the elements. So in the future, as the project moves on, we won't have to worry about the ice in the trees bringing down the lines because they'll be protected. And speaking of the underground system, this is kind of new. We're installing these switches, and these switches kind of act like a circuit breaker, so they can detect when an outage is happening and stop it. So it prevents customers down the line from losing power, and they won't even notice that for like a half second, their power might flicker. That's because these switches go into action to stop that outage. So we are doing all sorts of projects like that across Maryland and the district to keep the lights on and to keep it reliable.
Yeah, I appreciate you actually doing that. I mean, guys, I got to tell you, you all have really been on it throughout the year. For folks like me, and so I could tell you this morning when I woke up, I turned the heat on, but I also have an electric heater, which means I'm probably pulling more from the grid, if you will. Any recommendations or suggestions for folks like me that are actually doing that want to save money as well?
Oh, absolutely. Especially with the cold weather that's coming in through after this storm, efficiency is key. So there are several steps that you can take. Well, one is with your thermostat. So if you say set it at 72, right? Lower it to 70 if your health permits. That 2-degree difference will help lower your bill by a few percentage points. Other tips are making sure that your vents are clear from debris and furniture so that your home is being heated evenly and properly. And the easiest one, keep your blinds and drapes open. Let that sunlight in, let it warm up your house during the daytime, get that free heat, if you will, from nature itself. There are plenty more tips. I mean, there are a lot that I could mention, but it's easier for our customers to go to pepco.com/ways to save, and you can print out a checklist and just go around your house and make some simple changes to save some money.
Yeah, I truly appreciate that. Valid tips that we can all use every day right here in the DMV, DC more particular. I'm curious, right now we're in the middle of the storm, and then, you know, according to our meteorologist, which we're going to get another report in just a minute, that storm will soon subside. At what point for you all do you all face the most challenges? Is it prior, is it during, or is it after the storm has gone?
Well, prior to the storm, we're getting ready for whatever impacts may occur. So that's enhancing our staffing levels, whether that's for our line workers and workers in the field or our customer care workers, to make sure that there is enough to assist customers when the phone calls come in. I would say during the storm is probably the time where we're kind of limited to what we can do, especially if there's strong winds. Winds impact the system, they impact whether or not we can get out to what's happening. So I would say that time when the weather is hitting the areas when we're sitting watching and seeing where the outages are occurring. And speaking of outages, our first line of defense are our customers. We really need customers to report an outage. And it's pretty easy to do. The easiest way is the old-fashioned way, I guess, to use the phone, 1-800-PEPCO62. The fastest way is to download our free smartphone app, and you can just go right on the app, punch your information in, and report the outage. And the other perk to the app, you can sign up for alerts, and it will tell you when your power will be restored. And it's pretty accurate when our crews get out there and start making repairs.
Yeah, I'm so glad you touched on that. You know, I'm thinking about a family member, and I will not name him, but I can remember as a kid when we would have power issues. It's Superman to the rescue. That's not what we want to do, correct? We want to pick up the telephone
Correct.
and give you a call.
Correct. Safety is key for our customers and our employees. Stay away from down lines. You don't know if they're energized. If you see down lines, damaged equipment, call us. Let the professionals come out and make those repairs safely and quickly.
Awesome. Truly appreciate you. Before I let you go, real quick, anything on the horizon perhaps that you would like to share with us or in our viewers as well, that with regard to what Pepco is doing in order to continue to do an amazing job?
We have so much going on that I would recommend that our customers go to our website, pepco.com, and look at the reliability projects that we have happening now and in the future for Maryland and the district. You can see the hard work that we do every day to keep those lights on, keep the service reliable, and to earn the trust of our customers to keep the lights on.
Well, I got to tell you, you've earned our trust today, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on Fox 5 Live. We truly appreciate it. Once again, all the tips, you're going to see it pop up on your screen there if you need to reach out to Pepco. We truly appreciate you coming on the show, and thanks again for taking time out of your busy schedule. Stay warm, sir.
Thank you, you too. Anytime.
All right. Once again, an official from Pepco providing us with many tips as to what we should and should not do right here in the DMV. So here's what we're going to do. We just got a chance to see what the weather forecast happens to be. Well, you're going to get a chance to see that in just a second. Prior to going to Pepco, I was making mention of the importance of not only us staying warm, but hey, what about our little furry guys? I'm talking about your dogs and cats. They too need to stay warm. I got an opportunity to speak with an official about how you can go about to do so. Take a look. Not only do we have to stay, us humans as well. I'm talking about our doggies and cats, and as a result, well, we have some tips in order to make sure they stay warm. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by none other than Mr. Mark Peralta. He is the Chief Program Officer for Best Friends Animal Society and is joining us right now on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Mark, truly a pleasure to see you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, and I'm happy to give some tips to keep our pets safe. So thank you for allowing me to be on.
Yeah, we love it that you're on today. You just heard me make mention, I know you're not right here in the D.C. area, but it's about to get even colder and snowier, if that happens to be a word, right here in the DMV, which stands for D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Obviously, I know what to do, and a lot of folks watching know what to do to stay warm, but what about our pets? Can you give us some tips that we could actually make sure we implement?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, cold fronts are coming. Cold fronts are going to continue to come. And I think it's important to note, once you get to temperatures that are about 20 degrees Fahrenheit or below, you start getting into dangerous territory for your pets. So a couple of things to think about. Pets can suffer from hypothermia. They can suffer from frostbite. And if you think about how frostbite affects us, it's similar to dogs and cats, meaning it's things like ears. For animals, they have tails, noses, those kind of things. So those things can happen to your pets. So obviously keeping them inside is a good start, and keeping an eye open. If your animals are walking around and they're lifting up their paws, they're often, very uncomfortable. If you have a short coat animal, some people think it's silly, but coats and sweaters are really good for those little guys as well. Older animals, just like us, those old bones being in cold weather, like you're going to have to take your animals out. So just make it quick, keep them on leash, try to cover them up, but bring them, keep them inside, and make sure that you don't have them for, long-standing time outside. And, you don't want your pets, getting hypothermia. You don't want them getting frostbite. So a lot of it you can keep in common sense even with us, but just know that your pets can suffer from this stuff as well.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you touched on that. I was outside walking to the store the other day, and I happened to see a young lady walking her dog, and well, the dog was as if it were happened to be limping, and I think it's because the ground was really cold. Is there any tips you can offer with regard to making sure that the paws stay warm as well?
Yeah, a big thing is, you can have booties. A lot of animals aren't going to let you do that. So it's just trying to be quick about it. If you see them trying to maybe, brush off some snow, try to find some area of a grass or a sidewalk maybe that's got a little less ice on it. A lot of times it's making it really quick. Something else to think about, many of us remember this famous scene from A Christmas Story, but if you're also having your animals drinking out of a water bowl, cat or dog, if they're metal, that scene where the kid's tongue sticks to the water bowl is a real thing that can happen, especially for animals, especially in Arctic temperatures, 20 degrees and below. So using plastic bowls and things like that are also a good tip to think about.
All right, so I got to be honest with you. I heard a story the other day about a young lady who was planning to walk her dog, and I'm not going to tell you who, full disclosure, not. But at the same time, prior to taking the dog out, it happens to be my sister. Prior to taking the dog out, she said, well, you know what, Guy, quite honestly, it's just too cold. And so I found myself just sitting there watching as the dog stayed inside and really needed to use the bathroom. I mean, it probably happens more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times we work so hard in house training the animals that they really get confused by that. So it's okay to get them out. Just try to do it quickly. Try to find maybe a place that's under, a little bit of shade or something. Just do it quickly. Some animals will go on pee pads or things like that, but a lot of animals can get confused by that. So as much as we're trying to help them, it honestly, like if you could just get them outside really quickly, bundle them up. And one other thing about the paws that you brought up, when you bring them back inside, just try to wipe them down with a towel. Just if they have ice or anything in between their paws, those are things too that can start to irritate them as well. So giving them a nice little wipe down when you get back in to try to keep them warm and not wet is a big thing as well.
Yeah, we've all heard the saying, you are what you eat. And I'm wondering with regard to, our little furry guys and our pets and our dogs and cats, does that come into play at all with regard to making sure we provide them with adequate food in order to keep them warm when we take them outside?
I mean, absolutely. I think, it's really about kind of protecting them just like we would ourselves against inclement weather. So the big thing is please don't keep your pets outside when it's really cold. Your diet doesn't need to change a lot, but yeah, I would just, a lot of the other thing actually that comes to mind too is salts that we use on our roads, to clear sidewalks and clear ice. Those things can be hazardous to pets as well. So also wiping off their paws helps keep them off of those. But if you see salt, there is pet friendly de-icing salt that you can use for your own home. But if you're walking on like public sidewalks or those kind of things, there's something else to kind of stay clear of or be careful of, because if they lick up some of that stuff too much, it can be poisonous.
Prior to us chit-chatting, I got a chance to peruse through your website, and I saw it said, well, hey guys, if it's cold outside, perhaps what you could do is head down to your local shelter and go ahead and adopt a dog or a cat. I thought that just happened to be so cool that you would actually think about something like that right now at this time.
Yeah, no, animals are looking for homes all time of year, and there's nothing better to get than snuggle buddies in cold weather. And they love to snuggle. We love to snuggle. So it's always a great time in the wintertime to pick up an animal and adopt, because those are the animals are going to be the most thankful for your life-saving efforts and bringing them into your family.
Well, I got to tell you, thank you, sir, for all that you do to making sure we keep little Fido and our little kittens and cats and everything else that we have. By the way, I have a turtle. I don't know if that registers as a pet, but
turtles need love. It's absolutely
there you
counts.
go. Turtle power. Folks that want to find out more
Absolutely.
about you with regard to Best Friends Animal Society, how would one go about to do so?
bestfriends.org. We encourage you to go on our website, join. So we're all over social media. So Best Friends Animal Society. And also look up your local shelters there locally in DC. You have so many amazing local organizations there as well that all have animals that are up for adoption and can give you some great key tips and learnings throughout the year. So just, get involved.
Yeah, you said it best. Why not actually adopt something that you could snuggle with and stay warm, especially during this time? Mark, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. We truly appreciate you, sir. How cool was that, Mark, of course, with the Pet Agency, talking about the many things that we can all do in order to keep our pets warm as well. Hi, Caitlin.
Guys, how you doing? Happy snow day.
Yeah, a busy snow day at that. It's already busy for you. Thanks for coming in early. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, of course. You know, I had the smoothest sailing commute because I took Metro, so it was very easy to get to and fro. Thank you for underground transportation. Hopefully your drive was okay.
I took Metro as well.
Oh, all right. Well, then we know what we're doing,
Just
and we're
little,
relaxed.
It was a little slippery on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, you do have to be careful, absolutely, because no one's gotten out to shovel yet. It's
Yeah.
a snow day. They're all inside, so the sidewalks are covered with several inches of snow.
Yeah. So, guys, if you happen to go out, just proceed with caution. But before we get to you, I want to try real quick. I think we have Lily and one of our reporters in Loudoun County actually traveling out there. So if we could throw to her, I want to see if we can do so. If not, no worries. We'll come back and chit-chat with her in just a minute. I guess not? Okay, no worries. That's the beauty of live TV, guys. I mean, you just go with it. And, of course, if you haven't already done so, tell a friend and bring a friend. We're talking about downloading the Fox app, or Fox 5 app, I should say, and or the Fox local app on your smart TV. That way you can continue to watch us and find out what's going on. Speaking of what's going on, whew, you are busy.
Yeah, so, well, it's been a crazy week. I mean, I can't remember a week like this in a long time in D.C. Of course, we didn't have winter last year, so you got to go back at least 2 weeks. But a full week where it snowed. Okay, it snowed Sunday.
Right.
Briefly, but it snowed. It snowed all day Monday. It snowed into Tuesday morning, so that's 3 days. And then it was super cold Wednesday, and now it's snowing again on Friday.
Wow.
And it will be very cold again tomorrow and icy. So at least it's a weekend tomorrow, because these kids went to school, what, one full day this week?
But hey, all the kids are happy. I mean, you know, high five going out to the kids.
It is truly a snow day, and it is very beautiful out there. But obviously, everything was canceled ahead of time. It was the right call because the snow came in early, like 4 or 5, no, more like 3, 4 a.m. And it was heavy at first, which was a little bit surprising to us because we thought it would start really light. And then it got very heavy very quickly. So when people first got up and got out the door, it was like, whoa, there's already so much snow on the ground.
Yeah.
So obviously that was a lot to navigate for people who had to come to work. And
not to cut you off, but I was talking with Tucker earlier, and I actually watched this morning, and he was saying that it actually started at 3 a.m. I got a chance to peek my head out the window, and then I saw that by 6 a.m. it was about 3 inches had already. It was like an inch an hour.
I know, which is really high snowfall rates, and we didn't really expect that with this system. We thought it would be kind of that persistent light snow that we had Monday, Tuesday, where it takes a really long time to add up so you can stay ahead of it. But no, it was coming down to inch an hour. So when you have 3 inches on the ground before daybreak, the crews can't keep up with that. So a lot of issues.
So what are we looking at now? What are we dealing with?
So I can give you a forecast. I mean, just to recap some of the snow totals. Now this is just through 8 a.m. at the airport. 2.3 inches at Reagan. They were at a full ground stop earlier this morning, too. I don't know if they've recovered, but I know we've got a reporter working on that. 3.1 inches at Dulles, 2 at BWI, and the highest report I could find through 11 a.m. was Dayton, Maryland at 5.5 inches. So that's pretty significant. That's Howard County, where they're nearly at 6 inches, and that is winter storm warning criteria for us. Gaithersburg, 4, Centerville, 3.7, Capitol Hill, 2.6, and Alexandria, 2.6. So that was from a couple hours ago. So as we take a live look out at Rockville right now from our Fox 5 Sky camera network, that snow is still falling, and it has been consistent. I mean, we had a bit of a lull earlier this morning, but now that it's filled back in, it is going to continue to snow for the next couple of hours and then probably taper to flurries later today. But it's 31 degrees in D.C. Winds are out of the north. It's cold. It's slippery. It's a little breezy, and the snow continues to fall and stick. Temperatures are not a problem. I mean, over in Annapolis, it's 35, but we've already have that cold ground and that snowy, icy coating from earlier this week that it's easy for snow to just adhere to whatever's on the ground. It's only in the 20s back out across 81. And there's radar for you. We'll start with local radar. The purples indicate where there's heavier snow, and that would be kind of 95 in Virginia, across southern Maryland and the Bay to the lower eastern shore. So kind of our southern area now starting to get that really good band that swung through the northwestern counties, and that's helping to lay down some higher totals. So I do think when all is said and done, it'll be pretty uniform. Everyone's going to get their piece of the pie, and everyone's going to probably have 3 to 4 to maybe even 5 inches in some spots. So, a little bit of an overperformer this round of snow, and so was earlier this week, which tells me maybe it just really wants to snow here this winter. There's satellite radar. It's kind of just showing the movement of that band coming through. You still see a little bit to the north and west and a little bit to the south, but there is that dry pocket, which will be here in about 2 hours. I think the evening commute, it won't really be snowing, but it'll still be slippery. I mean, I say commute, but I don't even know how many people actually went to work. I mean, judging from my ride in on Metro, it didn't look like many. But regardless, those winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings that you see run through the evening. And then once we get the snow out of here, which Futurecast shows, by 5 o'clock, we've got some passing snow showers. And again, if these are squalls, the snow could come down heavily. They're just really broken apart. So the more organized snowfall ends by mid-afternoon. Everything ends overnight. And Saturday, no more snow. Those totals that you're seeing right now are additional through 8 p.m. tonight. But then we have to deal with the wind and the cold. And I've been saying this all week, and it's so true that tomorrow is the coldest day we're going to have yet this season. And we've had a lot of cold days. These are your forecasted wind chills. That's going to be a big factor because not only will it be cold, it will be gusty. So your wind chills by late Friday, that's tonight, are only in the teens. But then fast forward to tomorrow morning, they're in the single digits. So you walk outside tomorrow, and first of all, you got to be careful. You're going to slip and fall first steps out the door because everything will refreeze and ice over tonight. So you've got 3 to 5 inches of snow on the ground. You've got an icy coating, and then you walk out and it feels like 6 degrees. So that is not a very friendly atmosphere to start your weekend with. And by the way, wind chills will stay in the single digits pretty much all day. Up in Baltimore tomorrow evening, Ravens playoff game, really cold. We saw all the football games last weekend in Kansas City and in Dallas, and it was so cold and wind chills were below zero. Well below zero. Well, we're not going to be that cold, but we'll be pretty close. So wind chills near zero when the game ends in Baltimore. And then the same thing as we head into Sunday morning. So the wind chill will become the bigger story as we get into the weekend, which will be absolutely frigid. So for Saturday, partly cloudy skies, high temperature of 26, but with the wind chill, it feels like it's in the single digits all day. Sunday is just marginally better. Sunshine, high of 32. That will actually help with a little bit of melting if we can get some good sun around, and but not a lot, but some, and the winds should not be as bad. So we'll just end with showing you your 7-day forecast here, and then we can talk about anything. But next week, so here's the good news, right? So I feel like that was so much bad news. It's a snow day, it's a frigid weekend, but next week, I think everyone will be relieved to hear that winter's going to take a break. You see temperatures rise really quickly. We're in the 40s by Tuesday, the 50s by Wednesday and Thursday. Yes, we have rain chances next week that will really help melt everything that's left over. So we are going to take a hard turn away from winter next week, Guy, and I don't see it coming back until at least after February 1st.
Wow.
So yes, it's been a rough week, but we don't at least do we're not going straight till spring.
It's crazy. See, 26 degrees tomorrow. I mean, I'm looking at that, and then
That's
fast
really
forward
cold.
to next week, and it's almost 60 degrees.
Yeah, 56 by the end of the day. So you go from 26 to 56 within 6 days. So the 30 degrees warmer. You're talking about rain. So honestly, by the following weekend, the snow will be a distant memory. It'll be close to 60 degrees. It's like, okay, if we do more winter, at least we've got a recovery period in there.
Yeah. Real quick, actually, we got Lily. We're going to be joining her in just a moment. But before we do so, Amy, can you bring up the video of what we were looking at earlier, the city of Fairfax, I believe? What is that? Yep, city of Fairfax. Take a look at this. You see how it's the snowfall there? And then I did this with Tucker earlier. And then let's fast forward to the wharf right now in D.C., and it seems as if it's a little bit heavier in D.C. Is that the case?
Yeah, that band that's swinging through that was north and west of us and really was kind of heavier over Fairfax is now very much centered over southeast D.C., Alexandria, the airport. So when you're looking at the wharf, that's where that steadiest snow band is right now. So with snow, we talk about bands a lot, right? It's all about the banding. And when you've got a heavy band of snow over you, it looks like a mini blizzard. And then you get in these lulls in between, and the visibility rises, the snowfall rates decrease, and it looks like, oh, we're getting better until the next band swings through. So that band that was kind of over our northwestern counties has slipped south, so probably visibility is improving in Frederick and in Baltimore, maybe even into Rockville. But, right now, they're in the thick of it in DC.
Yeah. Well, guys, Caitlin, thank you so much. Stick
Yeah,
around.
of
Go take a break, grab some water.
I'll be back.
But we appreciate you, and thank you so much for. God, it's already a busy day for you.
I know. I mean, we're, all the snow, like, we got a lot of it already, but the impacts will continue straight through the day, as the snow continues to fall and we get into the weekend.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to stay on top of it. Of course, you're watching Fox 5 Live. Caitlin is going to continue to have the latest for you, and we're going to get back to her in just a minute. Go relax.
Okay, see you in a bit.
That's the beauty of this. It's so informative. Just like, bye.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So as promised, one of the things we're going to continue to do is we have a number of our reporters in the field. And speaking of which, I'm going to send it off to Lily, who happens to be, I believe, in Loudoun County. Is that where you're at right now, Lily?
Yeah, so we are near Leesburg right now. We spoke with VDOT a little earlier. They basically are just kind of talking to us about what their plans are for the rest of the night. As you guys know, they've been working pretty much all week with this weather off and on. Right now, they say that they are working on these 12-hour shifts, as the temperatures drop throughout the day. Of course, they're monitoring conditions throughout the day. I will tell you that right now, though, in Leesburg, the snow isn't as heavy right now. In the roads themselves, they're wet, of course. We're not seeing a ton of necessarily slick spots, right? It's a little bit slushy here and there, but that is something that VDOT says they are also keeping an eye on. With temperatures dropping in the next few hours, their concern is that certain spots will refreeze. So that is part of their treatment plan for the next few hours.
Tell you, I mean, you got to stay safe out there, first of all. And I'm really curious. I mean, I know you just touched on it, but we got a chance to speak with DDOT earlier, obviously within Washington, D.C. You happen to be in a different area, and I've always said that the suburbs typically deal with snow removal a little bit different than what happens within D.C. proper. Would you agree? Have you seen that?
So what VDOT is saying is that their main concerns are their primary roads, secondary roads, neighborhoods and such that really wouldn't be on VDOT. Is from the conversation I just had with one of their spokespersons about an hour or so ago. So to answer your question, really the plows that we're seeing, it's mostly on these primary and secondary roads.
Yeah, gosh, I got to tell you, it's really dicey out there. Caitlin and I, we were just talking earlier about how we actually took the metro in, and then as soon as I got here, I bumped into you prior to you going out, and you said, Guy, when I was outside, it didn't seem to be as cold for me as it has been in days past. Well, guess what, Lily? It's going to get down into the teens tonight and tomorrow, and I believe Saturday we have a high of only 26 degrees, which means black ice will be an issue. Have you encountered that at all during your travels in Northern Virginia?
No, and I can't really say we've traveled over black ice or anything like that, but all that said, let's not risk it out here, right? We're not going to drive fast, anything like that. Obviously, one of their biggest concerns, we hear this all. If you're going to be on the road today, you really just ought to take it slow, give yourself that extra time. Everybody at home knows to deal with that. And obviously, if you're at home, maybe that's really the best spot to be right now. I was telling the guy from VDOT earlier that maybe, folks are listening to their advice. When we were on the road, we didn't see a ton of cars out there. The thing is, though, and he made a great point, a lot of the federal orders, they were on a 2-hour delay today. So later in the morning, around like 10, 11-ish, he was saying how, okay, there were a few more cars out on the roads then, which means there could perhaps be maybe a heavier commute at 6, 7 o'clock tonight. So just something to keep in mind if you do have to be out tonight.
Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate you, Lily. Go ahead and get to wherever you're going. We're going to call upon you again once you get to your assignment to see how the latest is in Loudoun County. Once again, we appreciate you checking in right here on Fox 5 Live. We'll see you soon.
See you soon.
All right. So cool. I truly appreciate her and all the other folks that have checked in thus far. Of course, we need you to check in as well. It's real simple. We're going to put up the tag board in just a second here. Of course, we're calling it Fox 5 Snow Day. You got to use the hashtag in order to go about to do that. And you'll get a chance to see all of your good stuff on video. There we go. There's some right there. Look at that. I got to tell you, I love the kid with the little beanie on. He was talking to Tucker earlier. TJ enjoying the snow in Chesapeake Beach. Hi, Tamika. Tamika actually celebrating her birthday earlier today. So we truly appreciate you checking in right here on the Fox 5 Live. Just love this stuff coming in, guys. This is just so cool. And of course, we're asking you to do this throughout the afternoon so that we get a chance to debut and show some of the amazing pictures that you all have taken. The cool part about this is that in some areas you'll see that there's more snow, whereas in others there are not as yet. The best part about it, there goes my furry friend again. The dog's out there running around, enjoying it as well. And so we encourage you to continue to do that, to make sure you check in once again, hashtag Fox 5 Snow Day. A couple of things we're going to do coming up. We're going to get another look at the forecast in just a minute. Also, a major concern happens to be the number of folks that are homeless right here in this area. We need to find them a place to stay. Well, we're going to check in with an official that can tell us all about that. The number of warming centers right here in our area. Oh, by the way, we're going to go down the road I-95 to Dumfries and find out, well, how the weather is shaping up there. We're going to check in with the mayor of Dumfries, none other than Mayor Derek Wood. All that and more coming up right here on Fox 5 Live. You're going to take a live look for the next several minutes of what's going on, and we're going to be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. You're watching Fox 5 Live. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thanks so much for sticking around with us today. And boy, have we had a busy day. During hour number 1, we discussed how much snow we have gotten. And I got to tell you, it's probably more than a lot of us actually thought we were going to get. Found out a couple of things as well, that that snow will subside sometime in the near future. A couple of things I want to make mention of. If you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox 5 app, also the Fox Local app. We're really pushing that because you get a chance to see, well, what you wouldn't normally see. Shows like this, and a chance to find out what's happening right now immediately, and we're going to be doing that throughout the day. Oh, also, we've been really encouraging you to send in your pictures. These are just so cool. Get a chance to see all of the things that you all are doing outside of the home as you, well, play around in the snow. It's hashtag Fox 5 Snow Day. Easy as 1, 2, 3. In just a minute, we're going to be joined by the department, the DCDHS, I should make mention of, to find out what they're doing in order to keep folks warm that happen to be homeless. A major issue right now within our community, and I got to tell you, they're stepping up to the plate in a major way. Since we're at the top of the hour, we're going to go to the top story, and the top story happens to be none other than snow. And so with that, I'm going to bring Caitlin back in so we could chit chat about the latest of what we have going on. It's informal. Just hop on in. Just come on, say hi.
I'm so used to being so formal
I know.
on TV.
They're like countdown 3, 2, 1, and then they show. But it's really cool because folks get a chance to see how we all interact and what we really have to do in order to prepare to be on TV. And so as you get ready, I just want to make mention that you talked about it earlier because I just got a text from someone, or what do we call it now? Is it a tweet and X?
I don't know. It's really a tough topic, right? It's
Yeah.
Like we still call them tweets because that's the noun, right?
Sure.
So like the or the verb, whatever. It's like the platform's X, but we don't call them X's.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's still a little tough.
But that person was saying that, you know, they said, "Guy, I just missed the part where she was referring to the Ravens game." And, you know, first of all, I'm a little upset about that. We're in D.C., daggone it. You should be worried about the Commanders, not the Ravens.
We can't worry about the Commanders anymore. They're all in Mexico right now, okay? They're enjoying themselves.
But that temperature, game time temperature, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's about 24 degrees, folks. So if you are planning to head out there, and Caitlin's going to allude to it in just a minute, make sure you dress warmly, because once the snow goes away, well, the cold comes to play. And I guess we can chit-chat about that right now.
Yeah, actually, I just saw this tweet from M&T Bank Stadium, snow-covered. You know, obviously, this is not like a clearing out in Buffalo Bills Stadium tomorrow, but they definitely have a nice couple of inches on those seats. So obviously, there will be a degree of snow removal, you know, to clear the field, to clear the seats, because all of that will just ice over tonight.
Wow.
So they're going to have to get the ground crews out at M&T Bank Stadium before the Ravens playoff game, which is at 4:30 tomorrow in Baltimore. And if anyone from our area is going there, the snow's long gone, but it's really, really cold. It's windy, and so those wind chills by kickoff are in the single digits.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah. Stay warm, guys.
I know.
Speaking of staying warm, how about we stay warm as we find out what's going on, the latest with the snow?
Okay, yeah. So it's been snowing pretty much all day since 3 a.m. And the thing that was, there's always a surprise with every snow event, I have found. Like, even, you know, when you can see it coming for days, when it's an easy one, and by easy I mean we all just saw snow. You know, it gets really tricky when you start mixing, and some people see rain and some people see other things. So like we were like, this is just snow. It's going to be fairly quick moving, and we think it'll just be a few inches. Well, the problem was it came in with, the surprise was when it started, it was really heavy snow. So it laid down the bulk of our accumulations really quick before the sun even came up. So that's why it was really tough for people to get going this morning, because, you know, I don't know if the crews were kind of maybe waiting or
but I saw that we had a run report here where they actually, of course, because they pre-treated the roads for the snowstorm that took place earlier this week, they decided not to do it again this go around. Well, I believe, if I'm correct, that it has to be some 2 inches of snow on the ground before the plows will actually begin to move the snow. And so I guess they just really wanted to make sure that happened to be the case so that they can get all the snow off once it really started to come down.
Interesting. Okay, I did not know that, because I will say, my husband, Tucker Barnes, who was on here with you earlier, he drove in and we're just going up and down Wisconsin Avenue, D.C. to Maryland. Sure. He drove in Monday morning when there was a coating on the ground. Not bad. He drove in this morning, and it was terrible. And it was, it was more. It was like a solid inch, but there was not any, real treating that had gone on. So I can see why, it was a good call for the schools and for a lot of people to telework because the roads were bad early. Now he comes in early, but anyways, by 5 a.m. We already had an inch of snow on the ground, and you can see from that map at the airports. This is only through 8 a.m. We get updates from the airports every 6 hours, so in another hour, we'll get the latest update for our snow totals at the airports. But as of 8 a.m., 2.3 inches in D.C., 3.1 at Dulles, 2.0 at BWI. The highest report I've seen come through in other spots, and these reports are more recent, these are through 11 a.m., is 5.5 inches. That's in Howard County, Dayton, Maryland. Amazing. Gaithersburg, 4 inches. Centerville, 3.7 in Virginia. Capitol Hill, downtown D.C., 2.6 inches. And Alexandria, 2.6 as well. So everyone in the area has pretty much seen at least 2 to 3 inches, and we are, I suspect, by day's end, going to see more numbers like that Dayton number, 5 to 6 inches. So our forecast was more like 1 to 3. Everyone's going to at least get 3. So this did overperform a bit. Live look at Rockville, where you can still see the snow coming down, 31 degrees in D.C. Winds are out of the north-northwest at 9 miles an hour. It feels like 23. And while snow is still the main story today, tonight we'll move away from snow and start to be talking more about the cold and the wind chills. So right now temperatures are below freezing or at freezing for just about everyone, the only exception Annapolis. And I want to point out on Storm Tracker radar, still steady snows along 95 in the Beltway, but really filling into our south. Earlier this morning, it was all about our northwestern counties. We had our reporters out in Frederick County. We had them out in Loudoun County. You could really see the snow had accumulated and was still coming down. That has really swung southward. So Stafford, Spotsylvania County, all of southern Maryland, and the lower eastern shore, you guys are really seeing some of those steadier snow bands. And it looks beautiful, especially if you're watching from the comfort of your home and you don't have to get out on the roads. But the roads will continue to remain slippery as that snow falls and sticks. You can see it swinging through, and we've still got a couple hours of snowfall before all is said and done. This has now gotten up through Philadelphia, New York, kind of stopping just south of Boston. So a true mid-Atlantic storm, and winter storm warnings are out in pink just to our north, where I think the totals for places like Howard County, Baltimore County, Montgomery County, and even Loudoun County and Virginia will be more like 4 to 6. Winter weather advisories for everyone else, they'll be more like 2 to 4. So in terms of what to expect through the rest of the afternoon, I'd say we've got a couple more hours of steady snow. And I would say by 3:30, we start to taper off to snow showers passing. So you'll notice visibilities rise. You'll notice we're not really accumulating, but there could still be some flurries flying out there even into the evening. By Saturday morning, the snow's all over with, and actually the sun comes back out. But we've got, totals, and these are additional totals through today, another inch possible to the north and west. You've got several inches of snow on the ground on top of the couple of inches from earlier this week. So wind chills, guys, will be the big factor into tomorrow. Saturday morning, you're starting out with wind chills in the single digits, and by the way, they don't budge. So that's why I was talking about that playoff game in Baltimore. By kickoff, it feels like 10, and then, well after the game wraps, it feels like 4 in Baltimore. Geez. By Sunday morning, it feels like 1, 2, 3. I mean, this is some pretty harsh cold that we don't always get around here. So for us, this is pretty chilly. And it will only get marginally better on Sunday. We really have to get to next week until we see any improvement. So the weekend forecast, 26 is it for that high tomorrow for your Saturday. It's a true, really Arctic weekend, 32 on Sunday. And this means, of course, that the snow's not going anywhere. Yeah. Everything will freeze over, like any lingering moisture. So if roads are untreated, back alleys and side streets that haven't been shoveled or plowed, they then get that like icy coating on top of the several inches, and they become impassable. So throw the salt down if you have to. Do what you can to keep your area clean. Like everyone should, take care of yourself, take care of your neighbor. Try to do what you can, because this is not like so many times it'll snow here and then it's just gone the next day.
Yeah,
because we warm up, the sun comes out, we melt. It's like whatever, nature takes care of it. That's not happening this weekend. So the problems will compound if you don't clear your driveway, your sidewalks, the roads. Obviously, the cities and the county counties are responsible for a lot of the roads with plowing, and they will keep plowing, but for your own personal safety in your own area, it's going to be really icy all weekend, and we're probably not going to start to see some melting until Monday or Tuesday.
Wow, gosh, I got to tell you, welcome to the frozen tundra,
I know,
as they like to call it.
Yeah,
wow.
That's kind of unique for us. We don't normally get in this cycle of snow, then cold, then snow, then cold, but it'll be much better next week.
Sure. All right. Well, Caitlin, we truly appreciate you.
We'll
get our next forecast update in, let's say about 20 minutes at 1:30 or so. It gives you some time to breathe, okay? Once again, Caitlin, thank you so much. Guys, as you just heard Caitlin allude to, you're taking a look at the forecast right there. 26 degrees tomorrow, which means a lot of folks that happen to be homeless, yeah, they're going to be looking for a place to go and warm up. And I got to tell you, that's where the great folks at the DCDHS come into play. I'm joined now by none other than the director at the DCDHS, Miss Laura Greens-Eilinger. Laura, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, I can hear you loud and clear. And I got to tell you, it looks like you're at one of the warming centers. Is that correct?
I'm here at the Downtown Day Services Center. This is a day service center at the New York Avenue Presbyterian Church in downtown D.C. This fantastic day center services program operates throughout the entire year, provides services and lunch and access to a whole range of supports, from clothing, computer access, case management, connections to housing. In partnership with Pathways to Housing, and it's really a place for our community providers to bring in services and where people can come in the day. And there are people here now, and it's a bustling place, a really beautiful place, and welcoming for our neighbors who are experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, I got to tell you, first of all, kudos for you for braving the weather to actually make your way there. We really appreciate it. It shows that you are truly a woman of the people. Not only that, but, you know, we've been chatting all morning long and or afternoon now, really, and that is it's really going to get cold. And you know, as Caitlin alluded to, our meteorologist earlier, it doesn't necessarily get as cold as it will soon be here in D.C. a lot. You all have taken a number of steps in order to make sure that those who are homeless will really have somewhere to go and warm up. Can you elaborate about that?
Sure. Well, first of all, last Friday, before the really cold weather hit, our outreach providers, our service providers were out letting people know that really cold weather was coming, as well as snowy conditions. It could be really dangerous for them if they stay outside, and making sure that people know where they can come inside to get access to warm meals, a warm place to be. And we have shelters that are open during cold weather alerts. They're open 24 hours. Our low barrier shelters are open 24 hours as well throughout the year, and really letting people know that we have a place where they can be safe and warm and cared for. For folks who are just not interested or willing to come into our shelters right now, we have warming buses overnight starting at 5 o'clock. They go until 8 in the morning. So if people just want to come in, get out of the cold, get warm, we're meeting them where they are. So our outreach providers have been out letting people know. And we see more and more people coming in as the weather's getting bad, and we're so happy to welcome folks in from the cold.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but here in the district, you all do something that's really not necessarily, or shall I say, that's quite different than other major cities, and that is the focus, the amount of focus that you put on the homeless. Why is that? Why do we rise to the top when it comes to addressing those issues?
Partly it's our values as a community. We really want to make sure cold weather, as well as all extreme weather, can be extremely dangerous if you don't have a safe place that is home. And we want to be sure that we're providing both the life-saving emergency services and connection to solutions to homelessness, which we know are housing. And I'm so proud to work in a community for a mayor who understands and invests in those resources. Unlike a lot of jurisdictions, most jurisdictions in the country, we are committed to providing shelter to everybody who needs it during any hypothermia alert, during any extreme weather event. And we scale our systems in order to be sure that anyone who wants a bed can have one. And we plan throughout the warmer months. We look at how did we do last year, how many people came in, what worked, what do we need to improve on, and every year we put out a plan with our Interagency Council on Homelessness to lay out how we will deliver services each season.
Obviously, you all have stepped up to the plate in a major way. The question is, what can we as residents do in order to help out as well? I mean, obviously, I would assume, there's always a need. Could you elaborate on those needs?
Yeah, first, when you see someone outside, it's okay to check on them. Let them know that you see them. You don't have to just walk past and say, "Are you okay?" If you're not sure if someone's okay, call 911 if you think it's a medical emergency. If you think they might be all right, but someone needs to come out, do a safety check, and might be able to help them get either into a warm place or at least blankets or things if they're not wanting to move. But we want to make sure that they have the things that they need. You can call the shelter hotline. You can reach the shelter hotline in DC by just calling 311 and asking to be connected to the shelter hotline. So number one, just really make sure people have access to the services that they need and understand that these are just like everyone else people, and it's okay to ask them, "Are you okay?" And if, again, if you're not comfortable and you just want a wellness check, that's all right too. Just call the shelter hotline. There are that are out here. I'm here at the Day Services Center, but there are folks on the street doing outreach in the shelters, providing case management services, making sure people have clean sheets, toiletries, meals, all of the things that one would need to run this operation. Our transportation with the United Planning Organization that runs our shelter hotline. All of those organizations are doing fantastic work, and if people want to give donations, we know clothing drives are particularly important. People need warm gear this time of year. You can absolutely donate things and through your local organizations, and we're happy to connect you through the Department of Human Services. If you don't know where to donate, our website is just dhs.dc.gov.
We're live right now on Fox 5 Live. We're speaking with the director of DHS with regard to what they are doing to combat homelessness right here in the Washington, D.C. area. Not only combat it, but really make sure that we address the issue as well. I would argue that probably this is one of the busiest times for you all, but it seems just to be status quo. I mean, you all are moving. It's so fluid with how you all are handling this. What do you attribute that to?
We do this every year. It is exactly what we do, and we put a lot of thought and plan. Like I mentioned, improving how we deliver services every single season. And we have folks who are committed to providing these services, who get up every day, and this is their purpose, what they do, and they're committed. And I just really want to commend the tremendous partners in the community who are doing this work. They make it look seamless, but we know that they all had to shovel themselves out this morning before the roads might have been plowed to get into work to deliver these services, and we're so grateful.
We've been speaking with none other than the director of DHS, Ms. Laura Green-Zeilinger. Before I let you go, anything else you'd like to add, share with us with regard to what you all have going on?
I'm just said there's a safe place for everybody who wants to come inside. We have services for people. We have a warm bed and a warm meal, and we would love to see folks come in. And so just know that we are committed to making sure that we can welcome in our neighbors. And if you see someone who needs a place, please let them know that we've got a place for them.
All right. Well, we always have a place for you right here on Fox 5 Live. We truly appreciate all the amazing work that you're doing, continued success, and thank you for leading the fight when it comes to combating homelessness.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Get home safely and be warm. Once again, the director of DHS joining us right here on Fox 5 Live. We truly appreciate that. Guys, I'm going to reiterate and I'm going to push it again. If you haven't already done so, make sure you download the app. That app is Fox 5. The Fox 5 app and or the Fox local app on your smart TV. The cool thing about all of this, guys, is it gives you an opportunity to, always see what's going on, what's happening within our community right here day in and day out. Speaking of what's happening within our community, we were chit-chatting about the roads earlier and how they're shaping up. We got a chance to find out about D.C. with DDOT. We checked in with VDOT in Virginia. Well, now let's take it to Maryland, MDOT. Yes, we've found out exactly what's happening in Maryland, and I'm pleased to say we're joined by a representative right now. Sir, thank you so much for coming on the show. Welcome to Fox 5 Live, and appreciate you taking time out to chat with us.
Hi, yes, thank you for having me.
I got to tell you, for the most part, now I have not been out on the roads in I guess about 2 or 3 hours now, but I took the Metro on the way in. I am now in Montgomery County. That's where we're broadcasting live from. And for the most part, the roads look like, they've been cleared. What's your assessment thus far, sir?
Yes, well, I'm really glad to hear that, to your observations of it. We've actually been working around the clock, starting last night after midnight, around 1 a.m. we started, and we still currently have 2,200 pieces of equipment. That's both State Highway Administration pieces and our hired contractors out on our roadways doing their routes. And each route takes about 30 to 45 minutes for crews to complete.
When I stopped at the CVS store, I walked out and a truck, just passed right by and happened to be laying down brine, and I believe also have it scraping up that snow. It's so important for folks, and correct me if I'm wrong, to stay a certain distance behind these trucks that are clearing all that snow. Is that correct?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. We ask that everyone do not, we say don't crowd the plow, and that simply means to keep your vehicles at least 3 to 4 car lengths behind the plow, because the plow, we're just doing our job and we're clearing the road for you. So you want to stay at least 3 or 4 car lengths behind that. So by the time the plow passes, it's perfectly cleared for you.
Yeah, and folks.
And also,
no, please go.
but
No.
if we really encourage drivers to stay home in all possible, so we can have the roadways to clear and make sure they're safe for everyone. But if you do need to go out, we always emphasize for you to clear off your cars completely, because any little bit of snow or anything could freeze, making it like an ice particles that will fall off and could potentially cause accidents with other motorists on the road.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, such valuable information and things that folks should actually adhere to. I spoke with VDOT and DDOT earlier, and I know obviously this is completely different, but I'm curious, with regard to DC itself, we're talking about the district, the roads, somewhat different than what we're going to deal with here. What's your biggest challenge that you face when we deal with a snowstorm?
The biggest challenge, I would say, is just probably, worrying about the refreeze, because our crews, our 2,200 pieces that we have, are doing their loops, but just making sure that it stays with enough salt and brine on the roadways to beat the refreeze, because as we see, it's already early afternoon, but as the sun starts to set, there's the potential for the temperatures to drop and create like a black ice or a refreeze. So that's actually our biggest concern.
Yeah, obviously a concern that we're going to have to continue to make sure that we keep a close eye on. Before I let you go, sir, anything else you'd like to pass on to our viewers? I mean, obviously, this snowstorm continues to wreak havoc in a certain way. Anything else that we should let our viewers know that they should do?
Yeah, absolutely. If you do need to go out into this storm, we ask you to check out roads.maryland.gov. There you can see all of our live traffic cameras and also access to our Storm web app. And that the Storm stands for Statewide Transportation Operations Resource Map. And on that, you can see where our SHA crews are in real time within 30 minutes of their route. Yeah. So you can plan for any closures or accidents. It's all available on our chart website.
All right. Well, sir, thank you for what you're doing. Keep up the great work, and thank you for keeping our roads clear as best as possible. We truly need it in order to get from point A to point B. We'll have you back on Fox 5 Live very shortly. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll chit-chat soon. All right, guys, well, one of the many cool things about this show is we have the opportunity to go live anywhere at any time, including live to breaking news. You're taking a look now at some video that we have of a plane, a Cessna plane, that has actually, I believe, landed after taking off from Dulles Airport. If I'm reading this correctly, the police responded to a call of a small private aircraft. Now, that aircraft actually making an emergency landing. You see the emergency personnel right there on the scene, happening right there on the Loudoun County Parkway. Good news. Here's the good news. Thus far, no injuries have been reported. And as you can see, state police on the scene. Guys, I got to tell you, this is probably the worst time something like this could happen when we're dealing with all of this snow and ice. You see, obviously, one of the traffic is actually traveling in one direction, but obviously authorities have shut down the other direction. Once again, repeating that Virginia State Police responding to a small private aircraft that made an emergency landing. The good thing also is that, we're on it, guys, and that's what happens with Fox Fox 5 Live. We have Lily and Doug actually headed, or several of our reporters headed to the scene. We should get a live report from them in just about, maybe about 5 to 10 minutes, so we can give you the latest of what's going on. A couple of things I want to reiterate about this. One, it is snowy and it is icy, and so the mere fact that that plane was actually able to land, keywords emergency landing. We were not saying crashed at this point. It land in that area right there on the Loudoun County Parkway is pretty good news. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, and of course we'll get the latest as soon as we get a crew out there to find out exactly what's going on. Definitely scary moments, you know, taking off in bad weather, inclement weather, and then being able to actually land that plane. High five going out to the pilot to be able to do that. Once again, we'll get a live report momentarily. Also, guys, we're still talking about this snow, the snow that continues to come down in a major way. Initially, we were expecting anywhere from 1 to 3 inches. It's to my understanding we now are going to get anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. You just heard me speak with none other than the director at DHS about the importance of staying warm. Well, earlier I got a chance to chit-chat with some folks about the importance of keeping your animals warm. How important is it? Well, let's find out right now. Take a look. Only do we have to stay warm, and when I say we, I mean us humans. But you know what, guys? What about the little furry guy and our little cats that we love as well? I'm talking about our doggies and cats, and as a result, well, we have some tips in order to make sure they stay warm. I'm pleased to say that I'm joined by none other than Mr. Mark Peralta. He is the Chief Program Officer for Best Friends Animal Society and is joining us right now on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Mark, truly a pleasure to see you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, and I'm happy to give some tips to keep our pets safe. So thank you for allowing me to be on.
Yeah, we love it that you're on today. You just heard me make mention, I know you're not right here in the D.C. area, but it's about to get even colder and snowier, if that happens to be a word, right here in the DMV, which stands for D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. Obviously, I know what to do, and a lot of folks watching know what to do to stay warm, but what about our pets? Can you give us some tips that we could actually make sure we implement?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you mentioned, you know, cold fronts are coming. Cold fronts are going to continue to come. And I think it's important to note, once you get to temperatures that are about 20 degrees Fahrenheit or below, you start getting into dangerous territory for your pets. So a couple of things to think about. You know, pets can you suffer from hypothermia, they can suffer from frostbite. And if you think about how frostbite affects us, it's similar to dogs and cats, meaning it's things like ears. For animals, they have tails, noses, those kind of things. So those things can happen to your pets. So obviously keeping them inside is a good start, and keeping an eye open. If your animals are walking around and they're lifting up their paws, they're often, you know, very uncomfortable. If you have a short coat animal, you know, some people think it's silly, but coats and sweaters are really good for those little guys as well. Older animals, just like us, you know, those old bones being in cold weather, like, you're going to have to take your animals out. So just make it quick, keep them on leash, try to cover them up, but keep them inside, and make sure that you don't have them for, you know, long-standing time outside. And, you know, you don't want your pets, you know, getting hypothermia. You don't want them getting frostbite. So a lot of it you can keep in common sense even with us, but just know that your pets can suffer from this stuff as well.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you touched on that. You know, I was outside walking to the store the other day, and I happened to see a young lady walking her dog, and, well, the dog was as if it happened to be limping, and I think it's because the ground was really cold. Is there any tips you can offer with regard to making sure that the paws stay warm as well?
Yeah, a big thing is, you know, you can have booties. A lot of animals aren't going to let you do that, so it's just trying to be quick about it. If you see them trying to maybe, you know, brush off some snow, try to find some area of a grass or a sidewalk maybe that's got a little less ice on it. A lot of times it's making it really quick. Something else to think about, many of us remember this famous scene from A Christmas Story, but if you're also having your animals drinking out of a water bowl, cat or dog, if they're metal, that scene where the kid's tongue sticks to the water bowl is a real thing that can happen, especially for animals, especially in Arctic temperatures, 20 degrees and below. So using plastic bowls and things like that are also a good tip to think about.
All right, so I got to be honest with you. I heard a story the other day about a young lady who was planning to walk her dog, and I'm not going to tell you who, full disclosure, not. But at the same time, prior to taking the dog out, it happens to be my sister. Prior to taking the dog out, she said, well, you know what, Guy, quite honestly, it's just too cold. And so I found myself just sitting there watching as the dog stayed inside and really needed to use the bathroom. I mean, it probably happens more often than not.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of times we work so hard in house training the animals that they really get confused by that. So it's okay to get them out. Just try to do it quickly. Try to find maybe a place that's under, a little bit of shade or something. Just do it quickly. Some animals will go on pee pads or things like that, but a lot of animals can get confused by that. So as much as we're trying to help them, it honestly, like, if you could just get them outside really quickly, bundle them up. And one other thing about the paws that you brought up, when you bring them back inside, just try to wipe them down with a towel. Just if they have ice or anything in between their paws, those are things too that can start to irritate them as well. So giving them a nice little wipe down when you get back in to try to keep them warm and not wet is a big thing as well.
Yeah, we've all heard the saying, you are what you eat. And I'm wondering with regard to, our little furry guys and our pets and our dogs and cats, does that come into play at all with regard to making sure we provide them with adequate food in order to keep them warm when we take them outside?
I mean, absolutely. I think, it's really about kind of protecting them just like we would ourselves against inclement weather. So the big thing is please don't keep your pets outside when it's really cold. Your diet doesn't need to change a lot, but yeah, I would just, a lot of the other thing actually that comes to mind too is salts that we use on our roads, to clear sidewalks and clear ice. Those things can be hazardous to pets as well. So also wiping off their paws helps keep them off of those. But if you see salt, there is pet friendly de-icing salt that you can use for your own home. But if you're walking on like public sidewalks or those kind of things, there's something else to kind of stay clear of or be careful of, because if they lick up some of that stuff too much, it can be poisonous.
Prior to us chit-chatting, I got a chance to peruse through your website, and I saw it said, well, hey guys, if it's cold outside, perhaps what you could do is head down to your local shelter and go ahead and adopt a dog or a cat. I thought that just happened to be so cool that you would actually think about something like that right now at this time.
Yeah, no, animals are looking for homes all time of year, and there's nothing better to get than snuggle buddies in cold weather. And they love to snuggle. We love to snuggle. So it's always a great time in the wintertime to pick up an animal and adopt, because those are the animals are going to be the most thankful for your life-saving efforts and bringing them into your family.
Well, I got to tell you, thank you, sir, for all that you do to making sure we keep little Fido and our little kittens and cats and everything else that we have. By the way, I have a turtle. I don't know if that registers as a pet, but
turtles need love. It's absolutely
there you
counts.
go. Turtle power. Folks that want to find out more
Absolutely.
about you with regard to Best Friends Animal Society, how would one go about to do so?
bestfriends.org. We encourage you to go on our website, join. So we're all over social media. So Best Friends Animal Society. And also look up your local shelters there locally in DC. You have so many amazing local organizations there as well that all have animals that are up for adoption and can give you some great key tips and learnings throughout the year. So just, get involved.
Yeah, you said it best. Why not actually adopt something that you could snuggle with and stay warm, especially during this time? Mark, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. We truly appreciate you, sir. All right. Once again, we appreciate him coming on. The many ways to keep not only ourselves, but our pets warm as well. Guys, I want to take us now back to live video. Amy, go ahead and put that up. Amy, our producer right here at Fox 5 Live. What you're looking at is the scene of what a small Cessna plane. We have now identified the plane as being a Cessna. To my understanding, at last check, at least 7 people on that Cessna. That plane had to make an emergency landing along Loudoun County Parkway. To my understanding, thus far, there are no or minor, if not no injuries at this point. State police are on the scene, and as you can also see, apparently traffic is still flowing in one side of that one direction versus the other. We do have a crew en route to that scene to actually get an update as to what's going on with that. I talked about it earlier, guys. This plane took off from Dulles Airport. You think about the conditions with regard to what we're dealing with right now: snow, ice, and to be able to make an emergency landing, quite honestly, it speaks volumes as to what the pilot was able to do, especially dealing with these conditions. Speaking of these conditions, we are still not sure if that plane had to land because it was a mechanical issue and or because of weather. But once again, we're going to get a live look in just a minute from a report, rather, from Lily. Amy, do we have that video of her driving to the scene? I want to bring that up as well so you guys can see actually what I'm seeing. So right now they're at a stoplight, railroad crossing, what have you. But this is the beauty of the show, guys. You get a chance to see live, up action, up close, up personal, as it takes place of what's going on. And so this is what's happening as Lily and our photog make their way to that scene. Once again, a Cessna plane had to make an emergency landing on Loudoun County Parkway, happening just minutes ago. State police confirming that at least 7 people on board that plane. Still no word to the extent of their injuries. So we're going to get back to that in just 1 minute. In the meantime, we're going to continue our other top story. And boy, is it a busy news day, which happens to be none other than the SNOW. Yes, I'm referring to the snow. One of the cool things that I get a chance to do. Hey, well, not yet, Caitlin. I wanted to do a grand entrance for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's like I can't wait for my moment. I'm having so many moments today. I can't wait.
Well, that's so funny because we got a lot of moments. And in another moment that I want to
plenty of time later.
that I want to hand off to happens to be the mayor of Dumfries, Mr. Derek Wood, who's joining us now via Zoom. And now, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but are you on Capitol Hill right now?
Yeah, I'm actually I'm at the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and we're actually going to be loading buses here in about 10 minutes to go talk to the president about issues that a lot of the mayors have. Pete Buttigieg took the stage a little while ago to talk about some of the transportation, some of the money we got around improving our infrastructure, some of the things they got. The vice president, she came and spoke to us yesterday about some of the things that was very important as far as women's reproductive rights and us not really being able to or should govern what women should be able to do with their own bodies, just like we don't govern what men do with their bodies.
Yeah.
And we talked about the assault ban weapons like these assault rifles, how they're so important for war, but they're not important for domestic, to be in your household, and how to do some common sense type of things that we can agree on, some common sense type things. And there are 3 parties. I know you know about Democrats and Republicans, but a lot of people don't know that the third party is mayors. Mayors are the ones who common sense want to get stuff done for their community. We know that when the snow is snowing outside, we better make sure that the roads is nice and clear for our people to take care of. That's why you talking about today the SNOW. I ain't got no rhyme for that, but I'm just letting you know that's what we got going on.
And I'm so glad you touched on that. I mean, obviously you're busy. You're on Capitol Hill dealing with the issues of today, but one of the other issues happens to be snow. And I'm curious, as the man in charge, what exactly are you all doing in Dumfries in order to combat all of the snow that we are now dealing with?
Let me tell you, I already got text messages from citizens say, kudos, Mayor, to you and your staff. I was able to get out of my house okay, pretty good. One of the advantages of being a small town is we run our own public works department, right? Unlike the counties and the Department of Transportation, whether it's VDOT, Virginia Department of Transportation, we can mobilize much faster and much quicker to take care of our streets. Our staff we've been pretty much aware and prepared for the snow for the last week and a half. I know Caitlin could tell you that they promised us snow last week, but we didn't get that snow. But now we're in the process of getting it. But our staff had already inspected all of our equipment. We already went out there and looked at our streets. We looked at the trouble points, and we were ready when the snow came. So that way our people were able to get out. So kudos to our public works department, our staff who just works overtime to make sure that our citizens can safely get to where they got to be, whether it work, whether they got to go take care of their emergency or their medical needs, whether they got to just go out and get something to eat, some basic necessities. And that's what it takes. And that's some of the jobs we do in municipal government. We got to make sure that everything goes as normal.
I'm so glad you touched on that. Speaking of going as normal, what a lot of things people aren't doing, which, well, it should be normal, but it is not, happens to be clearing the sidewalks in front of their homes and businesses. I mean, that's been an issue that we've seen throughout a number of municipalities. Does that happen to be the case with yours as well?
Nah, the thing I love about our community is all the community come together. Like, you got neighbors that check on the senior citizens who do got come, and everybody gets out and shovel. Now, what we don't have when we was young guy, when we used to go around and kids used to come knock on your door with shovels trying to make a little coin. I was that kid that had the sob story and wanted to come in for some hot chocolate and some cookies while I was shoveling the sidewalk. And it was a fun type of thing. I think, especially when it's a snow day like this, we should really get the youth back involved in going out to really shoveling these snows for our seniors and some of the other neighborhoods. But as far as safety, yes, it's important to get those sidewalks clean. I know sometimes one of the biggest complaints we get when the snow plows come out is that it covers your driveway. Well, we can't do nothing about that because we're trying to clear the street out. You just got to come back out and move it so you can get back out of your driveway.
Yeah.
Because the snow plow ain't turning in your driveway to move the snow. So I'm just telling y'all before y'all call and email us about the snow trucks putting snow in front of your driveways that it's gonna happen.
It's definitely going to happen. And before I let you go, because I know you're on a tight schedule, you just spoke of the snow trucks. I had a chance to speak with a number of folks from whether it's VDOT, obviously, which you deal with, but we're really pushing folks to make sure that they stay a certain distance behind those actual trucks that are clearing the streets. I would assume that you want to pass that message on along as well. Oh, and Mayor Wood, before you say that, you kind of flipped on me. How do you flip? There you go. All right.
Okay, there we go. We flip back on you. All right, now tell me the question again, because I was looking at it like, how did I flip?
well, hey, I wish I could blame it on the snow, but this is a technical issue. No, I was just making sure that you reiterated the point of folks staying a certain distance behind those trucks that are removing the snow from the area, especially within your municipality.
So the biggest thing, you stay, like if you see the snow trucks out there, stay 5-10 feet behind. Don't follow. Be courtesy, especially if you don't want your car to mess up, because that salt and all that stuff is gonna fall on the back of your car. I mean, use common sense. That's all I'm gonna say. Common sense. I know it ain't always common practice. We can say it, but I need y'all to do it.
Easy as 1, 2, 3. Sir, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to chit-chat with us. Go to wherever you're going, but do so safely, and we'll have you back soon on Fox 5 Live. We appreciate you, Mayor Wood.
Hey, listen, guy, I appreciate you keeping the people informed about everything that's going on with the snow and everything. And I need you to go get Caitlin so you can tell us what's going to be going on the rest of the day to see if this thing can be safe.
Well, Caitlin's standing by. We're going to get to her momentarily. We'll chit-chat with you soon. In the meantime, guys, I wanted you to take a live look at this. We're going to go back to our other breaking news that we're following right now. This is a live look at a Cessna plane that has actually made an emergency landing along Loudoun County Parkway. You saw Lily right there, our reporter from Fox 5, getting ready to do a live hit to tell us the latest on that. Here's what I know thus far. That plane actually taking off from Dulles Airport, making an emergency landing. To my understanding, and we have not confirmed this as yet, but I believe 7 people happened to be on board that plane when that emergency landing took place. Thus far, state police reporting no injuries have been reported, which is amazing. You think about a plane making emergency landing alone, add to the fact that they're dealing with snow and ice, and for that to actually be the case, dear God, this is going to be a story we're going to be talking about for quite some time. To my understanding, this happening just a little bit over an hour ago, and as you can see, Virginia State Police live on the scene right there. Traffic seems to be flowing in one direction at this point. Let's pull up Lily right there, because behind her, I want folks to get a chance to see this. I mean, we're not going to go live to her yet, but pull that video of her if we can, as she gets ready to go live. Guys, you see that behind her? That's the Cessna plane that actually made an emergency landing. To me, it appears as if it's tilted in some form or fashion. And once again, we know that 7 people were on that plane when that actually happened, all of which, to our understanding right now, were able to get out of that plane without any serious injuries. We're going to continue to cover this story, and we're taking a live shot. As you can see, we're zooming in, and a number of fire EMS personnel right there on the scene, making sure that those who happen to be on that plane were okay. I could just only envision you happen to be driving down the Loudoun County Parkway, and all of a sudden you look up, and not only are you looking at snow and ice fall, but in this case you happen to see a Cessna airplane landing on the county parkway. Once again, that plane taking off from Dulles Airport just after 12 noon. We're going to get the latest from Lily in just a minute. In the meantime, let's go back to our other top story, and just wave at me, when we get a chance to find out what's going on with Lily. Caitlin, come on in, and once again, the beauty. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn.
I didn't mean to get so overly anxious.
No worries.
Yeah, so much going on, my gosh.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of Fox 5 Live. We are live, local, and it all happens right here on a daily basis.
And thank gosh you're launching on a day like this, where I don't even know how we'd get all this news out if it weren't for Fox 5 Local, because we've got the snow covered, we've got our reporters spread out, we've got the plane landing covered with Lily, so pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You're doing a great job, guys.
Well,
Love
thanks.
watching it.
Well, so are you. Thanks so much for being here.
All right, so we got some new reports, and I got my first report over 6 inches. So
oh, wow.
This is officially an overperformer, as we like to say. So I thought maybe 4, 5 at the most, but Loudoun County just got a report of up to 6 inches. Not on that graphic. I'm just going to, those are reports as of 11 a.m., but I'm getting a few more that just came in as of 1 p.m., so I can read a few of them to you. Yeah, parts of Loudoun County and the Leesburg area specifically, 5 to 6 too. I just saw one over 6 inches. Frederick and Laytonsville, Maryland, 5 inches. Ashburn, Virginia, 5 inches. That's also in Loudoun County. Dulles now up to 4.5. Other parts of Virginia, Oakton, Burke, Manassas, Herndon, Annandale, all around 4 inches. Silver Spring, Maryland, 4 inches. Fairfax 3.6, Bowie 3.6, and most of DC has seen about 3 to 3.5. And we'll get a new update from Reagan National at about 2 p.m. Oh no, they did just come in with a new one. Okay, so here we go. Reagan 3.3, Dulles 4.5, BWI 4.1. So earlier this week, Monday into Tuesday, we saw about 4 to 4.5 inches at all 3 area airports. So we're already there, Dulles and BWI. Pretty impressive for just one morning, and getting close. Reagan, I think that Reagan will end up coming in a little higher because they've still got some good snow over them. It was kind of that heavier snow band that just dropped from northwest to southeast. So as you look at satellite and radar, still swinging through D.C. By the way, snow is filled in up and down 95, Philadelphia, New York, Long Island, all seeing it too. So I would not suggest a drive up 95 right now. That would be less than ideal. Maybe later, or just wait till tomorrow. Local radar shows we've still got those snow bands. I'm looking outside, and it is snowing. It is beautiful. It was a great call for all the schools. You know, just sometimes it's better safe than sorry, and in this case, it really was because well, we thought it would be a couple inches. It's now more than that, and the winter weather advisory has verified for the area. Winter storm warning still in effect to the north. That's where we're seeing the reports of 5 to 6 inches in parts of Loudoun County, Frederick County, Montgomery County, Howard County, up through Baltimore. So really was a good call for everyone to just stay home and play it safe today. There's your temperatures, 32 at Reagan, 30 at Dulles, 31 at BWI. Obviously, it's snowing at all 3 area airports. So I think we've got about another couple hours, guys, and then by 4:30, it's really winding down. If you did work and you've got to drive home this evening, most of the snow will be over with, save for a few flurries. And if the crews are keeping up with the roads, hopefully it's okay. But if a road hasn't been touched, like a side street or an alley, you're in trouble because you've got several inches of slippery of snow on top now, with an extra coating possible through this evening. So I talked about this a little earlier. I want to hit it again. The snow ends tonight, but the wind and the cold, and therefore the ice, will be the second half of this story. Thank goodness tomorrow's a Saturday because I don't know how we would get to school tomorrow morning. So with these bitter wind chills in the single digits all day Saturday and all day Sunday gets a little better, at least those wind chills rise into the teens. Air temperatures should hit freezing. With these conditions, it is going to cause any residual moisture to ice over, meaning late tonight, anything untreated, anything that hasn't been shoveled or plowed will get that awful icy coating on top. So, you know, you're now talking about really slippery conditions if the snow hasn't been cleared, and subsequently if you're not treating or throwing salt down or anything. And sometimes these sidewalks, it's like you don't even know until you hit it and then you're on the ground. So be very careful being out and about tomorrow. That's the weekend. 26 on Saturday, 32 on Sunday. So obviously very sunny and cold. And boy, it's been a week. So we started off Sunday with our first round of snow. We've had several since, and the cold has not broken. It will by next week. So I am going to leave you with the good news of by Tuesday, temperatures rise above freezing. By Wednesday, they're in the 40s. By Thursday, they're in the 50s, and we're talking about rain. I do think a week from today, by next Friday, you know, we don't have any snow on the ground anymore, and we've really thawed out. But that's not for another week. So the snow on the ground and those icy conditions will not be ending anytime soon this weekend. So folks just need to be really careful as you go out and about. I expect it to still be pretty dicey tonight. Maybe even tomorrow morning on the roads.
Yeah, you know, I was just thinking, no shame on you or any other meteorologist, but I remember yesterday, I believe, we said that the snow would maybe subside, maybe 11-ish, 12 noon, and it's still snowing. It's still snowing. Isn't that amazing? And that's Mother Nature, guys. I mean, it's not, you know, we can't predict it.
Right, we try. But it's interesting because you know, we're only as good as the models that we look
Yeah.
at. And a lot of the guidance over the past couple days, so we kind of saw this, like, I would say a week ago, and it looked like over this past weekend, oh, this could be a good snowstorm. And then you watch all the models kind of say, no, no, no. And yesterday when I was at work, not one model was giving us more than 2 inches. Not
Wow.
one.
Wow.
So truly, and that happens, this swings back and forth, but then truly this was a substantial storm, and it really kind of overperformed what the models thought it was going to do. It snowed longer,
Yeah.
it snowed more intensely, and that's why instead of 2 inches, we're going to end the day with a lot of people seeing 6 inches.
I got to ask you, when prior to you coming on, we had your husband Tucker on, and to my understanding, I thought it happened to be wet snow, heavy
Yeah.
snow, and he said, no, Guy, the air is really dry. It's more of the fluffier stuff. Has
Yeah.
that changed, or are we still dealing with that?
It still is that. It's still like the very fluffy, like very pretty snowflakes, right? Like the type that you can get on your jacket and you can like see the actual pattern of the snowflake. They're really fine. They're really beautiful. So it is more, it's not the wet, heavy packing snow. It is more of that fine, like sugary sort of snow. But earlier, it was coming down so heavily that it just packed up really fast. It kind of looks like the wetter, heavier
Yeah, I got to
snow.
tell you. And if it's not the snow we're dealing with, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you alluded to it, it's the cold.
I know.
Temperatures here, we could argue, could battle with what it is in Antarctica.
Yeah,
I
right.
mean, it's freezing.
Well, this is pretty cold for us. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. A lot of winters are not that bad around here, but this is really a bit of a shock because
Yeah.
it's been 2 years since it snowed. More than an inch, and it's been 2 years since we had some really substantial colds. So we've gotten all that in a week. It's a lot to handle. I get it. People are freaking out.
Yeah, wow. Well, we appreciate all you do. It's
Thanks,
what,
guys.
about 1:50, 1:51 here. We're going to give you a break so you can take a breather, relax a little bit. Stop around, man, 2:15 or so if you can.
I will
come on
back.
by.
You know what? I have to say we'll be doing the DMV zone starting at 3. But how about
Awesome.
I come back before we get on the DMV zone? Is
Okay.
that cool with you guys?
Sounds
We'll do
good
a
with
final
me.
Forecast. Okay,
Sounds
great.
good with me. Guys, Caitlin,
Great.
she's always on it. All right, let's go live now to this breaking news that we've been covering throughout the afternoon as well. This just happening, guys, a little over about an hour ago. Once again, this is a Cessna plane, if you're just joining us right here on Fox 5 Live, that made an emergency landing on Loudoun County Parkway. Here's what we know so far. Police are now saying 7 people happen to be aboard that plane. Are we able to zoom in? I got a chance to look at this earlier while I was chit-chatting with Caitlin. I don't know if you can see it, guys, on your screen. It's as if the propeller happens to be bent. It appears to me that maybe it struck the guardrail upon making that landing. Once again, that plane taking off. There we go. You get a chance to see that? You see how that bottom propeller right there happens to be bent? It's as if it struck the guardrail, as I just stated, when it made a landing. Now, state police are on the scene. We have a reporter en route as well. Lily is going to join us live in just a minute to give us an update. By the way, if you're taking a peek outside, yeah, we're dealing with snow and ice as well. To think that we can actually, or somebody can actually make an emergency landing and do so in these conditions, quite honestly, astonishing. One of the things that I'm also thinking about is, you hate to see an emergency landing, but I'm glad it happened during this time of the day and not at night when perhaps we would be dealing with black ice. And so that's not the case. It appears, emergency personnel are on the scene. We're going to pull up video in just a minute, and you'll see that traffic is still able to go in one direction, but police have it blocked off in another direction as they continue to attend to those who happen to be on that plane. Guys, truly amazing that something like this could happen. It's a rather small plane. I'm not too familiar with Cessnas, but obviously it can hold up to 7 people. What we also don't know at this time is if the plane made that emergency landing based upon mechanical issues and/or was it weather related. Of course, we're going to find that out in the upcoming minutes when we go live once again to Lily. Amy, can we take that top video right here? And guys, this is the beauty about this show. We're live, and it happens. You see it as we see it. And so right there, you're just looking at state police actually assessing the damage that happens to be going on with regard to that plane. Once again, look at that. I mean, to see that plane actually made a landing, and then you saw that the propeller happened to be bent as well. Now, behind that, you're taking a look at the blue economy bus there. I would suspect that's where the passengers that happen to be on board that plane are now seeking refuge, if you will, just minutes after that plane made an emergency landing right there on Loudoun County Parkway. Were you able to zoom in? Who are those folks coming out the ambulance right there? I believe that might be some of the passengers. You see folks taking video right there as well. So perhaps those are the actual passengers, I'm assuming, that happened to be on that plane when that plane made an emergency landing. And now speaking with firefighters, guys, this story is something we're going to be continue to cover throughout the afternoon. The latest, obviously, when we go live back on TV as well on the DMV zone coming up at 3. To think that they can actually walk, and it appears to me that we didn't seem to see anyone that sustained any major injuries, but we did see those folks leave the ambulance and are now making their way to that economy bus, perhaps once again to stay warm and seek refuge. Another great reason why, out of all times, it happened right now during the day where they're not dealing with black ice. But dear God, to think that something like that occurred, especially out of all days today, is truly something we're going to continue to marvel at. Any word? Are we able to get Lily yet? We're still working on that? All right, no worries. We'll get to her when we can. Guys, once again, if you're just joining us, welcome to Fox 5 Live. We're still taking a live look at now 1:55 of this Cessna plane that made an emergency landing along Loudoun County Parkway. The key word being here, or words I should say, emergency landing. It is not being reported as a crash as yet. And once again, we're going to go to Lily, our reporter on the scene, in just a minute. Emergency personnel still assessing the situation, looking at what's going on. I talked about this, and I'm going to continue to talk about this, and that is, look at that propeller. I mean, it's as if it, as I stated, hit the guardrail upon making a landing, and or perhaps the ground as it skid across, once again, the Loudoun County Parkway. By the way, if you're watching us and you happen to see this as well, we'd ask that you go ahead and send us video and or tweet or X, whatever you call it nowadays, any pictures that you have as well using the hashtag Fox5. Once again, we want to make sure that we get every picture and video possible so that we can continue to provide you with those videos as well. Once again, a fluid situation that's taking place in Loudoun County. Just to recap one more time, that plane taking off from Dulles Airport, making an emergency landing along the Loudoun County Parkway. It appears to us, and what we have been told thus far from state police, that no injuries were reported. At least 7 people on that plane. It happening just about maybe to our reports at about 12:51, so that's a little over an hour ago. That's when we first got reports of what happened to be happening. You don't have the video up right now, but there happened to be an ambulance in front of that plane. We saw that state police actually walked over to that ambulance and escorted several folks out, apparently to that bus that blue bus you see right there that happens to be behind the Cessna plane. Hopefully those are the folks that were on that plane and are able to stay warm. This is the beauty, once again, of this show. There's Lily. I'm going to toss it to her. Lily, if you can hear me, wave. Oh, there we go. Okay, Lily, I can hear you. Yep. I don't know if you can hear me, but...
Awesome.
Okay, awesome. Well, once again, just to recap, we know that plane made an emergency landing right there in the Loudoun County Parkway. What can you tell us thus far?
Yeah, so as you've been recapping, there's very limited information on what we know exactly happened here. We do know that the Virginia State Police responded just before 1 o'clock, according to their press release that they just sent. They said that this was a call about a small private aircraft making an emergency landing. You can see that aircraft that's right behind us. So I'm going to step out of the way so you guys can get a better look at it. So it's been about an hour or so since all of this unfolded. The scene itself, of course, is still very active. You can see a lot of different law enforcement and first responders, emergency officials on here. Now, I can tell you that from what we last heard, there are no injuries that have been reported. Again, state police are still here on the scene. There is no telling, though, how long they will be here for. That is something that we're hoping to kind of figure out as the afternoon goes on, as the nature of this goes. Just kind of unclear of how long they'll be out here, what exactly is their protocol. I'm assuming they're gonna have to clear this, of course, at some point. But yeah, right now we're still just trying to gather information on here as well. We know the FAA will be investigating too.
I want you to take, so what I'm looking at is there happens to be a gentleman in beige pants. It looks like a young man. I see the EMS standing next to him as well. I saw earlier that he left from an ambulance. Does he happen to be, do you know, one of the passengers that was on the plane when it actually made that emergency landing?
We haven't heard any specifics on that, so I don't want to speak too soon. We're still waiting to hear information on that. You guys are watching this unfold in real time just as we are. So again, some of this information that's coming out right now is all very preliminary information. I can tell you, I will say, outside of this scene right here, this is a pretty busy area. There's, of course, I know you guys can't see this, but it's by a gas station. There's a few restaurants here. So there's a lot of witnesses who are also here right now. We're hoping that shortly here we can maybe talk to somebody that was here when this happened to see what they saw. But yes, we will be gathering all of that information hopefully in the coming hours.
Yeah, I've been saying this since we've had a live video of this. If you take a look at the plane, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it appears as a portion of that propeller happens to be bent. I mean, I would only assume, and once again, this is just speculation, that perhaps that occurred upon landing. It looks as if it hit the ground and or the guardrail. Do you see any damage in that area to the plane?
To the plane, it's kind of hard from our vantage point. I will tell you that the FAA just did release a statement a few minutes ago, basically saying that, again, as you can see, this is a single engine plane that made a hard landing here, Route 606. We do know, this is according to the FAA, that this plane departed Dulles International in Virginia around 12:15 local time. According to the FAA, 7 people were on board this plane, but again, we're not hearing of any injuries. All this information is just coming from the FAA a few minutes ago. But again, they're going to continue investigating, and they are going to be posting their preliminary accident/incident reports online, though we're not sure entirely when that would be.
Yeah, so very quickly, I mean, obviously you are standing right there in front of the crash, you being a part of the media. We were watching as you made your way to that scene. For folks that are traveling in that area, dear God, they're already dealing with snow and ice. Talk about your experience to get to that portion of where you're at and what you would recommend other folks to do.
Yeah, so if you are traveling this way, just bear in mind you're going to see a lot of law enforcement. You can probably see it from our vantage points here, all of these flashing lights. It's really hard to miss out here. When we were driving here, I will tell you, we were kind of urged to basically make a left, maybe go around the scene if you can. This entire road is not necessarily shut down. I would say probably a few yards from where this plane is at, part is shut down and kind of being taken over by law enforcement right now. So they are basically urging people to go around this area if you have to pass here, from what it looks like.
Yeah, we've been speaking right here on Fox 5 Live throughout the day with DDOT, MDOT, and in this case, being in Virginia, it would be VDOT. For the most part, they said the roads have been treated and are clear. Would you attribute that to the reason that the plane was able to make an emergency landing? Because it looks like it could have been a lot worse than what it is.
It's hard to tell. You know, I spoke with VDOT a little bit earlier when we were originally assigned to cover weather, but from, like you mentioned, VDOT has been working to treat these roads. They've been just really monitoring these roads and making sure that these roads are as safe as they can, from what we can tell from the spokesperson. So as you mentioned, they have been treating these roads. When we were driving around, I will tell you, the roads were wet, no doubt. Didn't see a ton of slick spots when we were out, but as you mentioned, VDOT has said that they are continuing to monitor these roads. The spokesperson did also tell us in a past interview a few minutes ago that all of their crews right now are on 12-hour shifts, so they are really just working around the clock here. But as far as to your earlier question about whether or not we can attribute that, you know, I'm really not the best expert for that, I suppose, but definitely something that we should probably follow up with VDOT about.
Yeah, stand by for me just 1 second, Liliana. I know it's cold, and I appreciate you staying with us. We're just 2 minutes past the top of the hour, and I want to recap for folks that are joining us right here on Fox 5 Live, which, by the way, you're watching this unfold as we watch it unfold. Probably the only folks in town that can do this live. And so, Lili, we thank you for that. A Cessna airplane landing, making an emergency landing right there on the Loudoun County Parkway. We know that 7 people happen to be on board that plane. Took off from Dulles just a little bit after 12:15. Emergency personnel still assessing the situation. As I hand it back to you, Lili, I see that blue bus that happens to be behind the Cessna plane that made an emergency landing. Do you know what that's for? I was assuming that it might be for the passengers that happen to be on that plane.
So on the side of the bus, I don't know if you can see from your point of view, the side of the bus says that that's from Dulles International. I can't definitively say whether anybody was on that bus because that bus was here before we got here. So in terms of what exactly this bus was for, where they're headed, I really wouldn't be able to answer that right now.
Yeah, and of course, obviously, as we zoom in, as your photog zooms in, we see that the snow is still coming down. Thank you so much for staying with us. At the same time, any reports from Dulles Airport, has that affected any of the other airplanes that are hoping to, let's say, take off or make a landing in that area?
Yeah, you know, I haven't seen any statements at all come out from Dulles quite yet. Certainly, though, like most major airports, they usually update their statuses on social media. So definitely something we will be keeping an eye out ourselves, too.
Yeah. Right behind you, Lily, there's a young, seems to be a young kid or a teenager that just ran up and seems to be taking a picture of the actual Cessna plane that once again made an emergency landing along Loudoun County Parkway. You would think that police have really blocked that area off. Is that the case? I mean, can anyone and everyone walk up there?
No, so we only got here, what's it, 2 o'clock right now? We only got here maybe half an hour or so ago. I will tell you, they've been asking folks unless you're a member of the news, the press like us, really they're asking people to stay away. And there's kind of a hard perimeter, if you will, in terms of where they're asking people to get back to. Obviously right now, you know, they are a little preoccupied. I don't blame them for not being able to corral every single person, but they have been asking folks every so often to really please step back and let the officials do their jobs and really just to make sure everybody's safe, you know? Yeah,
correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sorry to keep you on, but it seems as if I hear a loud noise behind you and or above you. Do there happen to be helicopters flying above, taking a look at the scene? And if so, that would probably align with that, you know, air traffic flow is still A-okay in that area.
I don't see a helicopter from our point of view. I mean, we are by a major road here, so what you're hearing right now might be a plane that's just above us, but no, I don't see a helicopter.
All right. Well, once again, Lily, live on the scene right there of a Cessna airplane that made an emergency landing along Loudoun County Parkway. That's happening just after 12:15. Lily, I tell you what, why don't you step aside, get warm. We're going to come back to you in about 10 minutes or so, but get warm if you can. And then we'll get the latest report from you so you can talk to a lot of the folks that happen to be there to see if you can gather any more information. Guys, we truly appreciate you sticking around with us. Thanks, Lily. We'll get back to you momentarily. Once again, just to recap, this happening just a little bit after 12:15. That Cessna airplane with 7 people on board, what we do know, had to make an emergency landing along Loudoun County Parkway. Those 7 people said to not have sustained injury. That's what we are being told thus far. We do know that the state police happen to be on hand as well. What's still at issue, or what we still don't know, was this emergency landing attributed to a mechanical issue, or did it happen because of the weather? I mean, that's the million-dollar question, and that's something we're all going to have to get to the bottom to, at least right here at Fox 5 sometime in the near future. What we can tell you is that those folks that happen to be on that plane, to my understanding, have been attended to and appear to be okay. You're looking at that bus now moving that Lily said that actually came from Dulles Airport. Once again, it's not fair to speculate, but I would assume that that bus happened to be there to actually take those passengers that happen to be on board that plane to refuge, or seek refuge, if you will, and get them out of the harsh elements. Speaking of the harsh elements, guys, this taking place, as you heard me make mention, shortly after 12 noon, meaning that, well, quite honestly, what sun we do have happens to be beaming down, and so we're not dealing as much with black ice. We know that after speaking with Caitlin that the temperatures are going to drop well below freezing, in which they are right now, into the teens, if not the single digits. Had this occurred sometime later this afternoon and or this evening or night, quite honestly, don't know if we would have what some would call a happy ending and perhaps more injury because of black ice, if that happened to be the case. You also got a chance earlier to see that propeller. It looks like that plane, the Cessna plane, sustained some type of damage in the front end, perhaps because that propeller hit the guardrail. We don't know. There's a video of it right there, but I mean, if I'm a guessing man, that's what it looks like to me. I mean, evidently, it's obvious. You can see some issues occurring with the front of that plane, and so once again, officials on hand trying to assess what happened, And we're going to get back to Lee in just a minute to find out the latest. I can tell you right now, she's speaking with, it appears to be a witness. And so when we do come back, I hope to have that audio and or video for you so that we can find out the latest what's going on. Reminder, once again, if you happen to be watching us right now on the Fox 5 app and or the Fox local app on your smart TV, we ask that you, any social media, any videos that you have pertaining to this, you use the hashtag Fox5. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to show you video of what we have with regard to weather related. We're going to be back in less than 5 minutes with the latest on this breaking news once again out of Loudoun County. Cessna plane making emergency landing. You're watching Fox 5 Live. All right, guys, welcome back to Fox 5 Live. I'm Guy Lambert. Of course, we are following breaking news out of Loudoun County. We have been following it for the past hour and a half or so. Cessna airplane that took off from Dulles Airport with 7 people on board made an emergency landing along the Loudoun County Parkway. At this current time, we do know that the folks that happened to be on board that plane did not sustain any major injuries. We know that it happened just shortly after 12 p.m. I'm going to go live now to Lily, our reporter who happens to be on the scene. Lily, you've been there for quite some time. What can you tell us?
Yeah, guys, so we've been here for about an hour or so. I can tell you that this scene has certainly drawn a lot of attention. For folks at home who maybe this is your first time tuning into this is an area that's pretty populated as it is. There's an Aldi, there's a grocery store here, a gas station here. So a lot of people, as this was happening, perhaps they were just, going on with their Friday. As soon as this happened, certainly, as you can imagine, a lot of people have really come to the scene to take a look at what's going on. Law enforcement on the scene, they've been asking people to kind of step back and let them, get to work. But I'm going to actually step out of the way, speaking of that, so you guys can see what we're looking at here, pretty up close and personal with this aircraft. I can tell you that according to Virginia State Police, this all unfolded a little bit before 1 o'clock today. They responded to a call about a small private aircraft making an emergency landing on the direct lanes of the Loudoun County Parkway. Again, no injuries have been reported. State police are on the scene. I am seeing a number of different first responders here on the scene. And according to the FAA, we had gotten the statement a few minutes ago. The FAA says that this is, again, a single engine aircraft and made a hard landing on Route 606 after departing from Dulles International in Virginia. That was around 12:15 when this plane departed local time. 7 people were on board. Again, the good news is you can see the damage here, but what we're hearing is that there were no injuries that were reported, and this is what I'm talking about here, where it has certainly drawn a lot of attention from people who kind of want to see what's going on here. Law enforcement, they've been doing their best to kind of ask people to please step aside and get back and let folks, have enough space to do their jobs. I will also say that in the next few minutes, we are expecting to hear from law enforcement on the scene. We didn't get clarification on exactly who will be giving this briefing, but I am told that in the next few minutes or so, we are expecting an update from law enforcement here. So for now, we'll send it back to you guys. We'll keep you updated on air, online, on everything we're learning from this situation.
Lily, before I let you go, and I hate to put you on the spot here, but is there any way that I see a lot of folks standing around you, not sure if they actually witnesses, they just wanted to come out and take a look at it. Any way you could walk up to one of them or chit-chat with them about what they saw, what they witnessed, or why they are actually standing there and what they're waiting for?
So we just spoke with 2 people. Most people who are on the scene right here didn't actually see anything. Most people, they kind of maybe heard it through the grapevine of what exactly is happening here. So that's what kind of brought them out here. Most people that I talked to, and again, they're asking everybody, including us, to please move back from the scene. So for now, we're going to have to send it back to you guys.
All right. We're going to get back to Lily in just a minute. Of course, there's going to be a presser that's going to be taking place momentarily, meaning they will provide us with more information. You can hear the emergency personnel yelling in the background, asking folks that happen to be standing in that area to leave. So just to recap, guys, once again, this is what we know, that that Cessna plane taking off from Dulles Airport shortly after 12 noon. Interesting language or verbiage that is now used. We were told initially that plane had to make an emergency landing. The FAA, according to Lily, now saying that it made a hard landing. Once again, this happening on Route 606. Once again, according to Lily, as I stated, 7 people on board that plane. The FAA also stating that none of those that happened to be the passengers on board sustained any major injuries. And guys, it's a fluid situation, and this is happening, as we minute by minute. I'm just sitting here thinking, as I would assume that you are as well. Dear God, what an amazing story. I mean, for this to happen out of all days today, when we're dealing with not only snow but ice in freezing cold conditions, the outcome could have been a lot worse than what we have seen it thus far. To think that that plane could land right there on the road, and not only that, but to not, in essence, as to what we know at this point, land in the premise of, or in the vicinity of any vehicles that happen to be, carrying about their business, just driving along Route 606. Truly an amazing story, truly something we're following minute by minute right here on Fox 5 Live. We are waiting to actually get the presser. We plan to go back to Lely and go live to that to find out exactly what's going on and what the officials have to say. Good thing about it is that we know that the state police immediately arrived right after this hard landing occurred. It takes some time, but quite honestly, the FAA appears to be on it as well. They too now at the scene, according to Lely. If we could play some video earlier, Emmy, of what we saw, I just want to, folks that are just joining us right here on Fox 5 Live, get a chance to see what the plane looks like. That's a Cessna plane, a small plane, according to the FAA. It appears that some damage was sustained to that plane as it made what is now being described as a hard landing. Earlier, we had video of what happened to be an ambulance that was parked in front of that plane, and at some point we saw several folks get out of that ambulance and then proceed to make their way behind the plane. There happened to be a blue bus behind that Cessna plane as well. Not sure if they boarded the bus. Still no confirmation on that. Not even sure if they happened to be passengers, folks. This is just what we saw earlier as we were looking at video live and watching it just as you happened to be watching it live earlier when that all occurred. Once again, still waiting to get that live presser from Lely regarding the plane that actually made a hard landing right there in Loudoun County. We also got a chance to speak with her, and while doing so, I asked her if she happened to know whether or not air traffic continued to flow normally out of Dulles Airport. Of course, you would assume when something like this happens, perhaps there would be a ground stop. That is not confirmed. Once again, just speculation. Obviously, officials want to assess the situation and make sure that everyone's okay. But according to Lely, it appeared that everything happens to still be normal back at Dulles Airport. Guys, once again, if you're just joining us, just to recap as we kill time and wait to find out the latest with regard to the presser, that Cessna plane taking off from Dulles Airport, 7 people on board. And as I speak about the 7 people, one can only imagine what happened to be going through their mind as that plane made a hard landing, and or the folks that happened to be on the ground and witness something like that happen. Speaking of witness, if you happen to see something or have any video or pictures of what happened, please use the hashtag Fox5. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take another quick break. 2 minutes. Give us 2 minutes. When we come back, we hope to have Lely and that presser live. Guys, you're watching Fox 5 Live. All right, guys, welcome back to Fox 5 Live. Sitting here, I'm about to say standing here. God, I've been standing, sitting all around.
You've been sitting for a long time, yes.
With
Guy.
Caitlin. We're following two stories. For those, and Emmy, if you can, just put up the video real quick before we get to you, Caitlin. Breaking news out of Loudoun County, a Cessna plane, 7 people on board, made an emergency landing along Route 606. The FAA is now describing it as a hard landing. All 7 people on board said to be okay. We're going to go live in just a minute to Lely, if not on this show, the DMV zone, to get the latest. Now, back to the other top story, which happens to be snow, and more snow. And
yeah.
I'm looking out the window, and it seems to be tapering off.
It is tapering. It's finally like kind of ending, I guess you could say, after starting nearly 12 hours ago, about 3 a.m. So.
Gosh.
I know, it ended up being a full day, like a 12-hour snow event. Now, I will say, a lot of our afternoon crew just coming in, they say the roads are fantastic.
Yeah.
So, once the plows were able to get out there, clear, keep up with it, and by the way, there's so much less traffic, it's actually not a bad experience at all.
We spoke with VDOT, DDOT, and MDOT, and according to them, obviously snow an issue, but they've been able to clear it and make way.
Yes, so great progress. We love to see it, and wonderful job by them. All of our people are verifying it, so that's good. And we have had several inches of snow on the ground, so our totals so far, this is as of 1 p.m. at the airports, and I think we'll tack on a little bit more to Reagan National. 3.3 there, 4.5 at Dulles, 4.1 at BWI. Wow. Some of the highest amounts have been like 5 to 6. So Dayton, Maryland, and Howard County, 5.5. I've seen several unconfirmed, but reports nonetheless, out in Loudoun County of 5 to 6 inches, parts of Frederick County 2, Gaithersburg 4 inches, Centerville 3.7, Capitol Hill 2.6, and Alexandria 2.6. So let's get to radar, and I can kind of show you the evolution of this over the past 3 hours. You can see that we are at the end, meaning there is still light snow out there, and I do see some streamers, as we call them, out across I-81. I'll focus on that in a minute. But the bulk of the system is lifting off to the north and east. So not the time to drive to Philadelphia, but otherwise, it is going to be rapidly improving for us as the snow really peters out and comes to an end later tonight, save for some flurries or a snow shower. But that's storm tracker radar, and very light stuff over most of the metro. I mentioned, as we zoom in on the Beltway, that looks, and I'm looking outside our studios right now, that's just a few flurries, not anything big. But I do want to mention this, and we knew this was coming because even as the storm moves out, the winds switch out of the north and west, and they are kind of driving down almost what looks like lake effect snow bands across I-81, moving east on 66, so Front Royal to Warrenton, Winchester to Purcellville, even probably Martinsburg into eventually parts of Frederick and Montgomery counties. These are quick moving bands of snow. Now, if you're under one of them, it can snow really heavily, really quickly, and the visibility will drop, and all of a sudden it feels like, oh my gosh, the snow is back. They should pass pretty fast, but just a heads up that those could swing through the metro later tonight. So even though I'm saying like the storm's ending and things are tapering off, there is still, especially to the north and west, those streamers that could come through. Just little squalls, I guess you could say. Think of it as like a summertime storm. They're quick hitting, but they pack a punch, and snow can come down heavily very briefly. So an extra coating on the roadway is not out of the question. Our advisories and warnings still stand. There's a live look at the Case Memorial Bridge, which actually is moving fine. Good to see our bridges. Everyone's moving okay on them. Temperatures still in the low 30s, right around the freezing mark, with snow being reported at all 3 area airports. Air travel, of course, earlier this morning, ground stop at Reagan, hopefully getting better as the day goes on. Futurecast showing that the snow continues to break up over our area, but there's a chance for a squall or two this evening. And then by later tonight, 9, 10 o'clock, we're really done, and we're waking up to sunshine tomorrow morning. So your Saturday, I mean, it will be much improved in that the snow is over with, but the snow is locked in. It will be so cold, and it will also be really windy. Those gusts will pick up late tonight. So your wind chills by tomorrow morning are in the single digits, and any clearing that you couldn't get done today, it's going to be even harder tomorrow because we're so frozen and things will be so iced over by tomorrow. Not to mention, it's just tough to be outside with these wind chills that you see barely climb out of the single digits. So what I'm trying to say is if you can, even if you had to work or if you've got some time, now that the snow, this is the best time to go kind of clear things out, Guy, is like the snow's ending. we still have daylight before everything ices over. So like this is our window probably. If you haven't left your house yet, but you need to shovel a driveway or a sidewalk, this is the time to do it, because once the sun goes down and then like everything ices over again, and you keep dealing with those wind chills, it's just not as pleasant. So weekend forecast, not going to see much melting, not when your high temperature is 26. So it's kind of these conditions that are going to stick with us through the rest of the weekend. 32 is it for that high on Sunday. But we should improve as we get into next week. I've been saying this all week, and it's true. Winter's going to take a break, and it's going to go away for the rest of January. So,
all right. Wow, the rest of January.
Yes, today is the 19th. I mean, the weekend.
Makes sense.
Okay, so Monday's the 22nd. So I would say the 22nd, as you look at this 7 day. So I would say starting Monday when we get above freezing, I think we're good until I would say maybe February 1st.
Wow.
That's the first time I think that there's a chance of like seeing winter return. Now I might be wrong, but I do really think that certainly our last week, hopefully last 10 days of January, it's what's called, the patterns reloading. So any winter cold retreats back up to Canada and, starts to, it'll be back, I'm sure, but, we kind of get a break.
Yeah,
so
I'm looking at your 7-day forecast right there. I'm looking at Friday, 55 degrees. I can tell you, my dad is a golfer. 55 degrees is warm enough for him to play golf. The question is, will the snow be gone?
Yeah, I know, right? Because now we got to melt down. Think about it. We had 4 inches Monday and Tuesday. You lose some of that to compaction, but now we've got an additional 4 inches. So the snow depth right now at Dulles, I know, is 6 inches, so you got to melt down 6 inches.
Wow.
So I think by Friday we'll be okay with those temperatures. Just a few piles left over in some shady spots.
Yeah.
But the golf course will hopefully be working hard on that. They're like, if we can get some people out here in January, we're going to do it.
Yeah. Real quick before you go, and I know you got to go. Matter of fact, you're about to see Caitlin on the DMV zone, which starts at 3 o'clock, just about 9 minutes, so I'll get you out here real quick. The Arctic air that's coming in, a lot of folks have been asking us, hey, why is that happening? I mean, that doesn't typically happen right here in this area. It's something you would see in, as I stated, Antarctica or Alaska. Now it's happening right here in the DMV.
Yeah, so what's interesting is, I mean, we get Arctic air usually, a couple times a winter, and we've had temperatures this cold before, but last winter we really didn't. You have to go back to Christmas of 22, the last time we had as cold of a day as we're going to have on Saturday. So I just think a lot of people like short-term memory. It's like, wait, I haven't had to deal with this in a couple years, even though it does happen. I mean, this is cold for us, but it's not record-breaking cold.
Yeah.
So ever so often those rounds of Arctic air will reach us, and it never lasts too long here, like it doesn't last all winter, but typical to see this happen sometimes. We just didn't do it last winter.
Yeah, well, we're doing
weird.
it now, and I can tell you one person that's on it, it's Caitlin. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, you're going to get a chance to see her in just about 7 minutes. So you can skedaddle, go, you got to get to the DMV zone.
We're on, because we're on at 3 o'clock on the DMV zone, and then we go straight until 7.
Oh,
So
wow.
Fox 5 News at 4, 5, and 6. We'll see you there.
There you go, guys. We're live, local, and as my nephew says, we're lit.
Okay, now you have your shows tagged.
There it is. All right, thanks, Caitlin.
Sure,
Once again, you
thank
can check
you.
her out on the DMV zone. Emmy, let's take it back to that live video or video of what we have of the other breaking news story that we're following, and you're going to find out more about this on the DMV zone, ladies and gentlemen. Cessna airplane making a hard landing, according to the FAA, along Route 606 in Loudoun County. This happening just after 12 noon. What we do know, 7 people happened to be on board that Cessna plane when it made that hard landing shortly after noon. No word on the extent of any injuries, but according to the FAA, at last check, they said there happened to be no injuries. And so we will take that word and go with it. With regard to where they have been taken, we do not know. I can tell you earlier we saw an ambulance that happened to be in front of that Cessna plane. Several people were removed from that ambulance and appear to have made their way onto a bus that then left the scene. While Caitlin was telling us about weather, I could tell you I was looking at live video. I know that the FAA is live on the scene. They appear to be assessing that Cessna. I saw them actually lift up the hood right there in the front next to that propeller to take a look at the engine. Speaking of that, 2 things. One, the FAA has not said as to whether or not, and there you see I'm looking at that engine, whether or not this was a mechanical issue and or a weather-related issue. One can only speculate as he or she takes a look at that engine right there that perhaps it was a mechanical in nature. Also, while you're looking at that, you see that propeller right there? You see how it's bent? It's not supposed to be like that. And so, you know, we're just questioning as to how that happened. Was it upon landing? Did it hit the road itself, or it's parked right next to a guardrail? Does that happen to be the case as well? And we're going to have to find out. A couple of things. Lily, our reporter, is live at the scene. I know about maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago, they were due to start a presser, meaning that provide us with more information with regard to what's going on. Typically, when these things happen, what we have seen in the past is that obviously emergency personnel, local emergency personnel, will arrive immediately. Guys, this happened right near Dulles International Airport, so we can tell you that the FAA already there. That's great news to be able to assess the damage. Of course, it's best when you can do it immediately after it happens, and that's exactly what's happening with the FAA. We're going to continue to follow this. Once again, this is something that you don't normally see. This is why we do this show. It's called Fox 5 Live. We're giving you up-to-the-minute coverage of what's happening, not only in Loudoun County at this point, but throughout the area. Of course, the main stories of the day happen to be snow, the massive amount of snow that some would argue that we got, along with the Arctic temperatures that are going to be making its way right here into the DMV. You throw this in the mix, and when I say this, meaning the Cessna airplane that now made a hard landing, you talk about a busy news day. But we are on top of it. We're going to continue to cover this. The DMV zone is coming up next. You've been watching Fox 5 Live.